Chapter 2407. The heavenly sovereigns outside are unable to break the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda for a while, but Qin Yin can't guarantee that it won't be broken later. The heavenly sovereigns are indeed very powerful. At this moment, the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda looks like it is about to explode. Qin Yun's nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda has been attacked by many experts before, but it has never been as violent as it is now. If this continues, then even if the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda is not broken, it will definitely be damaged. Qin Yin can't see what the heavenly sovereigns outside look like, but he can feel their incomparably terrifying divine power. Moreover, when the heavenly sovereigns attacked the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda, they used very powerful divine weapons. He opened his heavenly eye and can capture the figures of the heavenly sovereigns. The heavenly sovereigns are moving back and forth, crazily attacking all sides of the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Qin Yin can see that the weapon in the hands of the heavenly sovereigns is a long sword. What made Qin Yin alarmed is that the shape of the long sword is very similar to the heavenly divine sword that appeared before. The heavenly divine sword was swallowed by Qin Yun's nine desolate divine saber and turned into heavenly divine saber. And the sword in the hands of the heavenly sovereigns is exactly the same as the heavenly divine sword from before. This bastard, what kind of existence is he? Qin Yin doesn't completely believe the words of the heavenly sovereigns. In contrast, he believes the words of the swindler Tian Daozi more. Tian Daozi has already followed Qin Yin and recognized Qin Yin very much. This also explains a lot of things. However, the heavenly sovereigns know a lot of things, and there are also 10 Dao images. Xiao Yun, don't worry about him. Let's go quickly. Control the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda and fly away. Ling Yuner said. Qin Yin released the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation and let it operate inside the pagoda, allowing the pagoda to obtain stronger defensive power. After the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation operated, Qin Yin also controlled the pagoda to fly quickly. The nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda is now like an arrow, shooting towards the myriad realms' divine sun in front of it. The bottom of the pagoda spewed out the divine power condensed by the formation and pushed the pagoda to shoot forward. The divine power condensed by the formation inside the pagoda shot out is very powerful. Even the heavenly sovereigns can't stop the pagoda from flying. The great formation in the pagoda was operating, and the thrust it erupted was extremely powerful. Even the venerable sovereigns of the heavens couldn't completely stop this flying pagoda. Other than that, the nine suns sky-raising pagoda was absorbing the power of the myriad suns as it flew. The thick haze was the divine power of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. After the nine dragons' heaven origin formation was activated, it could also help the sky-reaching pagoda absorb the divine power of the myriad realms' divine sun to strengthen its defense and propel it forward. Yuner, Qin Yin released the holy tribulation gate that Ling Yuner is in. After the tribulation gate opened, a devouring power appeared. Ling Yun, Er's little nether sun, operated and produced a very strong devouring power. Qin Yin released another sacred tribulation gate. It is the tribulation gate where the nether sun Dao idol resides. After the tribulation gate opened, an even stronger devouring force erupted, crazily devouring the divine sun power outside. The nine-sun sky-raising pagoda's defense became stronger and stronger under the combination of all sorts of divine powers, and its flying speed also increased. All the venerable sovereigns frantically attacked the nine suns sky-raising pagoda. However, the violent 10 elephant divine powers he shot out were all knocked away by the sky-raising pagoda. Now the nine-sun sky-raising pagoda is protected by a very strong barrier while flying at high speed. All the venerable sovereigns were able to shake the nine-sun sky-raising pagoda before, but now it is very difficult for them to break the barrier. This wretched guy, what the hell did he do? All the venerable sovereigns cursed in their heart. He could see that Qin Yun's heart has been stimulated by his words and is now wavering. All the venerable sovereigns can't understand how Qin Yun can suddenly calm down and make the nine-sun sky-raising pagoda so strong. What he doesn't know is that Qin Yun has a Tao spirit called Ling Yun. In the past, Ling Yun was the nether sun spirit. She helped Qin Yun restrain the nether sun and prevent Qin Yun from being devoured by the nether sun. Now Qin Yun can control the nether sun, and Ling Yun has become his spiritual partner. She is his spiritual pillar and can constantly remind him. So what if you hide inside? In the end, you will die in my hands. All the venerable sovereigns roared. You are destined to be killed by me. This is set by the heavenly rule, Tao, orthodoxy. You must die. The one who will die is you. Qin Yun shouted in a deep and cold voice. He has become very calm. Ha ha ha. You are just a tool. How can you kill me, the true heaven's chosen one? All heaven's venerable sovereigns laughed maniacally. Your existence is to be my sparring partner. You're just a puppet. When the time comes, heavenly rule can kill you with a single thought. Although Qin Yun doesn't believe all the venerable sovereigns, he is even more curious about his own life. He has always wanted to know what kind of existence he is. Had his fate always been in the hands of others? If what all the venerable sovereigns said is true, that Qin Yun's existence is to pave the way for others, he is just a tool, then how can he change this situation? Moreover, is the entanglement between him and Nine Sun Divine made and also arranged by the heavenly rule Tao, orthodoxy? Could it be that my existence is to become the prey of the heavens' chosen one? Qin Yun's mind is filled with countless thoughts. Xiaoyun, don't think so much. All these years, you've been doing this. You have experienced so much. You are an independent existence. No one can control you. Ling Yun said, I've experienced so much. Could it be that someone purposely made me experience all of this? Qin Yun thought back to the few lifetimes he had been tortured by the heavenly law divine realm. An incomparably painful memory suddenly surged into his mind. If it was in the past, he would have fallen into madness and darkness because of those painful memories. But now, when he thought of many beautiful things, he could immediately calm his mind. Ling Yun felt very gratified because this time, Qin Yun could quickly calm down without a reminder. Xiaoyun, maybe you are what that guy said. You were born for his trial. But, in the process of growing up, you have already changed your destiny. Ling Yun said with a smile. They definitely didn't expect you to meet me. Maybe it's because you met me that you changed the trajectory of your life. Maybe so. Qin Yun smiled and said, No one can decide my fate. My fate is in my own hands. The nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda is flying even faster. Although heavenly venerables can catch up, if they keep going, they will definitely run into those divine sun heavenly beasts. Quickly stop. Heavenly venerables furiously roared. You wretched tool, stop for me. You have to cooperate with my trial. You have to listen to my orders. Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, You can't even break my nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. What the hell are you trying to do? Don't tell me that the heavenly law, Tao, orthodoxy you are familiar with never taught you how to break my pagoda? Bullshit nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. It was made from a pile of broken sun heart stone. If I recover my peak strength, I can cut this broken pagoda with one sword strike. Heavenly venerables furiously said. The nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda was indeed made from ordinary sun, but later on, it grew together with Qin Yun and experienced many things, becoming stronger and stronger. Qin Yun suddenly felt that the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy is even more ridiculous. They actually don't know how powerful his nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda is. Ling Yun said with smile, Xiaoyun, I think the nine-sun divine spirit is also something they don't know. If the nine-sun divine spirit reaches great success, it will have 9 divine suns inside. It will definitely be a very powerful divine tool. Qin Yun has been refining this divine tool for a very long time. Even after using 9 lives and 9 lives, he still could not completely refine it. Back then, I never thought that the 9-sun divine spirit would be so powerful. Maybe I subconsciously felt that I must make something like this to change my fate. Qin Yin looked at his wrist. He thought of many things, especially about 9 Sun Divine Maiden. Xiao Yuan and Xie Karu have 9 Yin Divine Spirit in their hands. This is definitely a variable. Suddenly, a burst of roar came from the front. They are entering the territory of the Divine Sun Heavenly Beast. The Divine Sun Heavenly Beast is guarding the 3rd Myriad Realm's Divine Sun. No one is allowed to disturb the Divine Maiden inside. Luiwei Shuyan is the 9 Sun Divine Maiden. She can very easily enter the interior of the Myriad Realm's Divine Sun, but others can't. Hearing the beast roar, Heavenly Venerables did not continue chasing. Forget it. If you want to die, then go ahead. As long as you die, the Divine King Heavenly Seal will descend upon Heavenly Divine Desolate, and at that time, it will definitely be obtained by me. Heavenly Venerables gnashed their teeth as they watched the 9 Sun Heaven raising pagoda disappear into the churning energy waves ahead. Heavenly Venerables did not continue chasing, but they also did not leave immediately. Instead, they floated in place and stared at the 9 Sun Heaven raising pagoda in the distance. He is worried that Qin Yun will suddenly turn around. Qin Yun is now forced to enter the Myriad Realm's Divine Sun. He must face those Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts. In the eyes of Heavenly Venerables, whether it is facing the Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts or entering the Divine Sun, it is a dead end for Qin Yun. After a while, 3 people appeared behind Heavenly Venerables. These 3 people are the 3 big bosses of the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. Dizun, what's going on? You couldn't capture Qin Yun? Boss Gong's son frowned and said, "Aren't you the new Heavenly Dao?" Boss Ling Hu is also very suspicious. He asked, Dizun, since you're the new Heavenly Dao appointed by the Heavenly Law Dao, with your strength, why are you still unable to capture Qin Yun? Boss Dongfang secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If Qin Yun was captured, his daughter Dongfang Bingbing would also be in trouble. The inheritance of the Heavenly Law Dao is incomplete. Moreover, there's a big discrepancy in the records. Qin Yun's mission is to be my prey, a puppet in my trial. Heavenly Venerables said coldly. But the Heavenly Law Dao did not teach me the method to destroy that heaven-raising pagoda. Boss Dongfang said, the heaven-raising pagoda was originally not strong, but after following Qin Yun for so many years, it became stronger and stronger. Dizun, you better familiarize yourself with the records of the Heavenly Law Dao and understand your prey better. Do you think I'm not diligent? Heavenly Venerables said angrily. Qin Yun is very different from what I know. There must be some deviation. Chapter 24:08. Boss Dongfang saw that Boss Ling Hu is being ridiculed and said with smile, "Warm face met cold buttocks? I already told you, that guy can't be fawned over unless you are willing to be his dog." Boss Ling Hu's expression turned ugly. He sneered a few times. Boss Dongfang, if that guy is really the Heavenly Law, then he will definitely take back the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. At that time, we can imagine what will happen to us. At worst, we don't have the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. What can he do to us? Even Big Brother Heavenly Law was not so heartless. Boss Dongfang laughed and said, "You think too highly of that guy." Boss Gong's son chuckled and said, "Dongfang, you should be the happiest one right now, right? Your daughter is still with Qin Yun. If Qin Yun is not dead, then your daughter is still alive." Boss Dongfang was still smiling mischievously a moment ago, but now his expression is very gloomy. He said, "The one who has the biggest headache is me. Bing Bing is a very talented girl, but she has become Qin Yun's slave. Of course, I am happy that she is still alive." Brother Dongfang, do you think Qin Yun will be killed in the end? If it is really as recorded in the Heavenly Law Dao tradition, Qin Yun will be killed by Dizun, and your daughter will also die with him. Boss Gong's son said, "I will do my best to help Bing Bing remove the master-servant contract before he dies." Boss Dongfang's eyes are deep as he looked at the bright light in front of him. There is a deviation in the Heavenly Law Dao tradition. Otherwise, Qin Yun would already be dead. Boss Ling Hu said, "Maybe it is not a deviation. It is just that Di-Zun is too hasty and thinks that he can kill Qin Yun at this stage. Boss Dongfang sighed and said, "You all should know that Qin Yun is not easy to kill. Last time in the Heavenly Law pawn shop, we did not attack him because we were afraid that we would not be able to kill him." Boss Gongsun said, "Qin Yun will eventually die in the hands of Di-Zun. At that moment, the new Heavenly Law will descend upon Divine Desolate, and Di-Zun will unify the heavens. This matter is very complicated. We should just wait and see." Boss Dongfang said, "This won't do. I have to find a way to contact the old guy from Ancient Desolate and ask him about the situation." Boss Gongsun said, "I will also go." Boss Linghu finished speaking and flew towards a direction. Boss Dongfang looked ahead, then shook his head and sighed, then turned around and flew away. Inside the nine-sun sky-raising pagoda, Qin Yun finally got rid of the heavenly sovereigns, but his situation is still very dangerous because it is very likely that he will encounter a powerful divine sun heavenly beast. He did not know the connection between ancient land and the heavens' venerable sovereigns. He also wanted to know what had happened to ancient land, but he did not know how to get there. Divine sun heavenly beast should be very gentle. Ling Yin'er walked out of Holy Tribulation Gate. This charming and beautiful long-legged fairy is leaning on Qin Yun's bosom and hugging him very intimately. Qin Yun gently caressed her back, kissed her face, pinched her gorgeous and charming face, and said, "Yun'er, my background is not simple at all. When I got the heavenly eye, I heard a voice calling me home. Later on, you told me many things. Don't worry about this." Ling Yin'er smiled and said, "Even if you have a past, it was many years ago. No matter where your soul comes from, you will always be my good Xiao Yun." Qin Yun hugged the coquettish fairy and kissed her forehead. Ling Yun also warmly shrunk into Qin Yun's bosom. Qin Yun hugged this delicate and charming fairy and did not think about the matter of heaven's venerable sovereigns anymore. He does not believe that his fate will be manipulated by others. He is not willing to become someone else's trial by fire. If he truly dies, the people around him will also suffer the same fate. Qin Yun looked at the charming long-legged fairy in his bosom and became even more resolute. He cannot die, otherwise Ling Yun will also die along with him. "Little Yun, how is the seed you planted growing now?" Ling Yun'er asked. "They have already sprouted," Qin Yun said, and looked at the situation of the seeds inside the nine-sun divine soul. Inside the nine-sun divine soul, the divine sun heavenly soil has transformed into a very large lotus flower disc. The seeds he obtained from the heavenly law inheritance pearl are planted inside the divine sun heavenly soil. The sprouts that grew from the 5 seeds were all different. It seemed like they were 5 different kinds of divine medicines. The divine medicines grown from the seeds of the heavenly law inheritance pearl are certainly not simple. "Xiao Yun, I want to return to Holy Tribulation Gate to cultivate." Ling Yun'er's eyes are flowing with charming intent as she spoke to Qin Yun in soft voice. "My good Yun'er, kiss kiss." Qin Yun laughed, then hugged Ling Yun'er and kissed her. Ling Yun'er sweetly smiled and then returned to Holy Tribulation Gate. She can also become stronger by cultivating. After she becomes stronger, she can control Little Nether Sun to cooperate with Qin Yun. Qin Yun said a few words to Dongfang Bingbing and told her to stay inside the small residence. Then he looked at Star God. Star God still has not finished evolving the Star Heaven Divine Mirror. Star Heaven Divine Mirror is a heavenly divine tool. It must have its own unique and formidable aspect. Qin Yun hopes that Star Heaven Divine Mirror will be strong enough to fight against heaven's venerable sovereigns. Half a day passed by, and the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda suddenly stopped. It is not that Qin Yun stopped. Rather, he entered a very strange region and was blocked by a soft power, causing him to be unable to move forward. He promptly went out and stored the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. "You still haven't reached Myriad Realms, Divine Sun?" Ling Yun'er asked. "It's very close." Qin Yun said, "I'll be there in about an hour." He opened his heavenly eye and looked around. He did not see any huge divine sun heavenly beasts. No divine sun heavenly beasts nearby. Qin Yin felt that it is very strange because Liu Shuyin said before that there will be a large number of divine sun heavenly beasts patrolling nearby. The soft power ahead should be formed by a barrier that can prevent outsiders from entering Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. The current state of Myriad Realms' Divine Sun is to let 9 Sun Divine Maiden enter the place. Not only will there be Divine Sun heavenly beasts patrolling and guarding, the Divine Sun itself will also be protected by a barrier. Qin Yin tried using all kinds of methods, but he was unable to penetrate that soft barrier. This barrier can block people and all kinds of powerful energy attacks. It won't reflect any damage and also won't appear to attack. I can't enter. Qin Yin is anxious. He used all kinds of methods to attack, but he was unable to break in. Xiao Yun, let Little Queen Ant help. Little Queen Ant can bring you into the dark space and go in from there. Ling Yun'er said, will this cause great harm to Little Queen Ant? Qin Yin asked worriedly. Because all along, he never let Little Queen Ant do anything dangerous. He only let her help him condense space divine power pearl. No problem. Entering and exiting the light and dark space is very easy for Little Queen Ant. Ling Yin said with smile. No matter how strong Myriad Realms' Divine Sun is, it can't seal the connection between light and dark space. Dark space can be said to be the foundation of all space. However, only creatures like space Xian ants can wander inside the dark space, and then through the dark space, they can easily reach any place in the light space. Then, Qin Yun released the Little Ant Queen. Little Queen Ant was previously a ball of white light with a pair of wings, but now she has turned into a little fairy wearing a white dress. Little Queen Ant stood on Qin Yun's palm and flapped her pair of snow-white fairy wings. After she came out, she very happily shouted, Big Brother Yun, Big Brother Yun, beautiful Little Queen Ant, Big Brother Yun needs your help. Qin Yun said with smile. Big Sister Yun'er told me. I will help Big Brother Yun immediately. Little Queen Ant's delicate voice is very pleasant to listen to and very cute. Her beautiful little face is also filled with a sweet smile. Thank you. Qin Yun's mood suddenly became very good when he saw these lovely fairies. Little Queen Ant stood on Qin Yun's palm and released spatial divine power, forming a bubble that wrapped around Qin Yun. After the bubble was formed, the bubble's membrane was originally very thin, but it gradually became thick. Let's go. Little Queen Ant sat on the edge of Qin Yun's palm. She excitedly shook her 2 little legs and shouted with smile. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yun's vision darkened, and he entered the tyrannical, chaotic space. Qin Yun is very familiar with this chaotic space. Chaotic space can be said to be between light and dark space. To go to the dark space, one must first enter the chaotic space. Little Queen Ant continued to control the bubble to open a spatial crack and entered a very dark and quiet space. After entering this space, Qin Yun felt as if he has sunk into a very deep trench. The pressure made him feel suffocated. This place is filled with terrifying pressure. Although Little Queen Ant condensed a bubble with a very thick membrane, the circular bubble has been compressed into an oval shape. Other living beings are unable to come to the dark space, but Qin Yun is here now. This is mainly because of Little Queen Ant's ability. Qin Yun's entire body is currently uncomfortable. He found it hard to breathe, as if he could be turned into a meat patty at any moment. After Little Queen Ant found the path, she immediately controlled the bubble to teleport. An incomparably bright light suddenly appeared, piercing Qin Yun's eyes. That bubble also completely cracked at this moment. All right, Little Queen Ant is no longer as lively as before. Her tender and adorable, beautiful little face is filled with exhaustion. It's been hard on you, Little Queen Ant, Qin Yun said gratefully. You're welcome. Little Queen Ant smiled sweetly at Qin Yun and then returned to the Nine Sun Divine Spirit to rest. In the first pearl of the Nine Sun Divine Spirit, Little Queen Ant can also enter the Divine Universe Purple Sun and absorb the Divine Universe Purple energy to recover. Yang Yang often sleeps inside the divine universe. Purple Sunday. Qin Yin doesn't know how strong this ninth heaven Xian sparrow has become. If he wants to know how strong Yang Yang is, he will have to find an opportunity to let her go out and fight. Qin Yin has already crossed that strange barrier. He plans to let Yang Yang take action if he is besieged by divine sun heavenly beasts. Yang Yang, have you eaten and slept enough? Big brother wants you to help fight. Qin Yun lightly shouted towards the first pearl of the nine-sun divine spirit. Yang Yang, who was playing hide and seek with Mo and Little Jade Rabbit, suddenly jumped out of the nine-sun divine spirit and floated beside Qin Yun. This several-year-old cute little girl is actually a very ferocious ninth heaven Xian sparrow. When Qin Yun saw her cute little face carved from jade, he can't help but pinch it. Chapter 2409. Yang Yang is the ninth heaven Xian sparrow. Although she's a little girl now, her body is very big. Now that she is in an advantageous environment, even if she faces a divine sun heavenly beast, she is not afraid at all. Yang Yang is bouncing in the air, humming a little tune along the way. From time to time, she would circle behind Qin Yun and lie on his back, letting him carry her to play. From time to time, this little girl dressed in red would deliberately float in front of Qin Yun. She would pout her face and act cute, causing Qin Yun to want to pinch her extremely cute little face. However, she would immediately fly away and not let Qin Yun pinch her. Qin Yun can only chase after her, laughing and playing along the way. Big brother, divine sun is in front. I have a very familiar feeling. It's like I want to go home. Yang Yang jumped and ran, then suddenly stopped. After Qin Yun caught up to her, he pinched her little face and asked, "Go home?" Yang Yang, is this myriad realm's divine sun the same as the previous 9 suns? More or less. Yang Yang pointed ahead and said with smile, "Big brother, I will bring you back to my hometown to play." Yang Yang also did not play anymore. She lied on Qin Yun's back and let him carry her to fly. She lay on Qin Yun's back and played with his hair, tying up clumps after clumps of hair for him. Yang Yang, you are the 9th heaven Xian sparrow. Do you have any memories of the 9 heavens? Qin Yun asked. A little bit. Yang Yang blinked her watery eyes, recalled some things, then shook her head. I also can't remember too much. In short, I am still a child. I will eventually grow up to become the 9th heaven vermilion bird. 9th heaven vermilion bird? Qin Yun said in shock. That is the strongest me. Yang Yang giggled and said, Big brother, wait until I become stronger. I will be able to bring little Mo, little rabbit, and little ant queen to fly everywhere. No one will dare to bully big brother. Qin Yun suddenly felt that Yang Yang's background is not simple. He suspects that Yang Yang has a great connection with the world above the 9 heavens. Qin Yun is flying with Yang Yang on his back. He opened his heavenly eye to pay attention to the movement ahead. Yang Yang, if you discover anything, don't be in a hurry to attack. Discuss it with me first, Qin Yun reminded. He was worried that Yang Yang would discover the divine sun heavenly beast and rush out to fight. Got it. Yang Yang smiled and said, Brother, I'll help you massage your back. The little girl's fist lightly tapped on Qin Yun's back, injecting a warm energy into him. It was extremely comfortable. Yang Yang is so obedient, Qin Yun said with a smile. Brother, I really miss Sister Qingsheng and Sister Tianzi. When will I see them again? Did something happen to them? Yang Yang pouted and asked in a low voice. Her beautiful eyebrows were slightly knitted, and her expression was full of worry. They are fine. I will bring them back as soon as possible, Qin Yun said with a smile. Do they often play with you inside the 9-sun divine soul? They often tell me stories and sing for me. Their singing is very good. They even dance for me. They were very beautiful when they danced. Yang Yang's little face was filled with beautiful memories. Got it. When I get back, I'll contact them. Qin Yun also thought of asking Zi Qingsheng and Shui Tianzi to come back. Sometimes they could help him a lot. The little song that Yang Yang is humming was taught to her by Zi Qingsheng. Her singing is very good and her voice is very sweet. While Yang Yang is singing in a low voice, Qin Yin suddenly saw a huge phantom flash past in front of him. He used his heavenly eye to see that it is as if a huge city in the sky is flying past at lightning speed. The most terrifying thing is that after that huge phantom passed by, it did not make any sound. Not even a single fluctuation was released. What a big fish! Yang Yang also lightly shouted in amazement. Yang Yang, can you beat this kind of big fish? Qin Yin asked. He also saw that the phantom that passed by earlier is shaped like a huge fish, swimming in the dense and scorching light mist. It is undoubtedly a divine, sun, heavenly beast. In the blink of an eye, it flew very far away and did not produce any energy fluctuation. I don't know. Even if I can't beat them, I'm not afraid of them. Yang Yang is not worried at all and said, Brother, they are afraid of me. Afraid of you? Qin Yin is somewhat surprised. Yang Yang is formed from sun spirit, but that is also the sun spirit inside the previous sun. Most of the previous suns had already fallen, and the sun that Yang Yang was on had also fallen. And now that the divine sun has appeared, Yang Yang sun spirit seems to have some kind of connection with the divine sun. That's right, that big fish was scared away by me. Yang Yang giggled and said, Brother, do I look very scary? Of course not. You are very cute and very beautiful, Qin Yin said with a smile. He carried Yang Yang on his back and continued forward. Now he is not that nervous anymore. Yang Yang, this ninth heaven Xian sparrow, is quite powerful. She can actually scare away a divine sun heavenly beast. Brother, how many scoundrels are chasing after you? Yang Yang suddenly asked. I heard from Sister Qin Sheng that you are being chased by many scoundrels. Many, I can't even count them. Most of them can't beat me. Only a few of them are older and have higher cultivation than me. So they want to rob my things and even want to kill me. Qin Yin said, Next time you meet them, let me come out and beat them up. Yang Yang very righteously said. Her pair of curved eyebrows suddenly became vertical. Her expression became serious. All right, if I can't beat them, I'll let Yang Yang come out and help, Qin Yin said with a smile. He is truly reluctant to let this cute little girl risk her life. He knows that Yang Yang is very strong, but he doesn't want her to face a strong enemy. If she is really injured, his heart will be in pain. Qin Yin was originally very worried that he would be besieged by divine sun heavenly beasts, but along the way, the divine sun heavenly beasts he met all fled like frightened fish. They didn't attack him at all. Yang Yang can sense those divine sun heavenly beasts. Once there were 3 divine sun heavenly beasts in the vicinity, but Yang Yang greeted them while laughing and laughing, directly scaring them away. Qin Yin doesn't know what the divine sun heavenly beasts are afraid of. Is it because of Yang Yang's strength, or because of her identity as the ninth heaven Xian sparrow? After flying like this for half a day, Qin Yin is finally very close to the Myriad Realms' divine Sunday. It can be said that he can see the surface of the Myriad Realms' divine Sunday. The surface of the Myriad Realms' divine sun is made of bright golden white crystal. A large amount of intense light gushed out from the crystal. The surface of the crystal is definitely very solid and very hot. It is impossible to penetrate through the thick layer of golden white crystal and enter the interior of the Myriad Realms' divine Sunday. Big brother, follow me. Yang Yang suddenly came down from Qin Yun's back and floated in front of Qin Yun, and then flew in a direction. Qin Yun flew behind Yang Yang. The Myriad Realms' divine sun is very big. After getting close, they can't feel that it is round at all. When flying on the surface of the Myriad Realms' divine sun, they only feel that it is an incomparably spacious crystal flat ground. Half a day later, Yang Yang brought Qin Yun to the other side of the Myriad Realms' divine Sunday. The entrance is there. Yang Yang pointed to the front and shouted excitedly. Then, she bounced up and down in the air, rushing over. Qin Yun hurriedly followed and saw that on the golden white crystal flat ground, there is a circular 6 starlight array. Teleportation array. Qin Yun is secretly surprised. So this is the entrance to the inside of the Myriad Realms' divine Sunday. There are no holes on the surface of the myriad realms divine Sunday. If you want to enter the interior, you can only use teleportation. When he was about to land on the crystal surface, Qin Yun felt an incomparably scorching heat rising up. Fortunately, he is wearing the heaven-trampling god boots. The heaven-trampling god boots is one of the sun's souls. It allows him to land on the surface of the incomparably scorching divine Sunday. It's so hot. Qin Yun followed Yang Yang and walked towards the teleportation array. Just as they were about to go over, the teleportation array suddenly lit up and a dozen people appeared. Yang Yang, be careful. Qin Yun shot forward and hugged Yang Yang, then promptly retreated a few steps. Yang Yang said in a low voice, "Big brother, don't be afraid. This is my hometown. No one will dare to bully you." Qin Yun did not let go of Yang Yang. Instead, he continued to hug her and prevent her from running around. Qin Yun is not clear about the current situation of the myriad realms divine Sunday. Perhaps it is not what Yang Yang imagined. A dozen or so youths suddenly appeared in the teleportation array. Clearly, they came out from the interior of the myriad realms divine Sunday. These dozen or so people are all wearing armor and weapons made of golden white crystal. Looking at their posture, it is obvious that they are going to fight. "Are you people from the ground?" A youth walked out. His eyes are filled with contempt as he looked at Qin Yun and Yang Yang. "Who are you people?" Qin Yun asked. These people did not realize that Yang Yang is the ninth heaven Xian sparrow. Clearly, they are not people from the same hometown that Yang Yang is familiar with. "We are the descendants of the divine sun," the youth shouted loudly and proudly. "You crawling insect from the ground, it is not easy for you to come here. Then I will leave your corpse intact." "Descendants of the divine sun?" Qin Yun frowned and asked, "Did you know that the nine-sun goddess entered the myriad realms divine sunland?" "Of course I know. The goddess is the daughter of the divine sun." The youth suddenly flew into a rage out of humiliation and said in a deep voice, "You bastard, you actually know the nine-sun goddess? A crawling insect like you is not worthy to know the existence of the goddess. You only know how to use your filthy thoughts to blaspheme her. Not only do I know of her existence, I have also seen her." Qin Yun curled his lips and said. He even kissed and hugged her. He just didn't say it out loud because he was worried that the youth would explode from anger. "Shut up. Nonsense. The goddess is so high and mighty that even we don't have the qualifications to see her. How could a crawling insect like you see her peerless beauty?" The youth flew into a rage and rushed towards Qin Yun with his spear in hand. This youth is at the Dao God realm. The dozen or so youths behind him are also at the Dao God realm. In addition to their equipment, their strength is indeed very strong. Even if Shun Tianjun came, he might still be beaten to a pulp by them. "Big brother, let me do it." Yang Yang suddenly struggled free from Qin Yun and waved his hands. 9 purple gold ribbons suddenly flew out and became very long. Those 9 ribbons are the beautiful 9 long tail feathers of the 9th heaven Xian sparrow. Chapter 24:10. Qin Yun was originally very worried about Yang Yang, but seeing how powerful this little girl is, he felt both happy and shocked at the same time. Yang Yang, who is yet to transform into her original body, is actually this powerful. "All of you get out of my way," Yang Yang shouted. The 9 beautiful purple gold ribbons in her hand danced wildly, sweeping out waves of scorching air. The purple gold energy enveloped the dozen or so youths. At the moment, Qin Yun could not tell what cultivation level Yang Yang was at, because from his point of view, Yang Yang had not reached Shun Tianjun's cultivation level. She had not reached Shun Tianjun's cultivation level, yet she was able to suppress so many powerful Dao gods. Her current strength was definitely not bad. Those dozen or so youths were all at the Dao God realm. Furthermore, they all had powerful equipment on them. Yet, they were beaten senseless by Yang Yang. Qin Yun had already taken out the 9-sun divine hammer and transferred the divine hammer Dao image into the divine hammer. The heaven-trampling god boots he was wearing also began to tremble slightly, frantically extracting divine power from the golden white crystal. Below Qin Yun's heaven-trampling god boots is the surface of the myriad realm's divine Sunday. It is formed from golden white crystal that contains a large amount of divine power. It can be said that it contains an extremely vast amount of energy. The heaven-trampling god boots are Sun's soul, so it can now extract an extremely large amount of divine power. Perhaps it was because of the Sun's soul. Qin Yun was able to easily extract the power of the divine. Sun Yang Yang's entire body is surrounded by golden white light. It can be seen that she is also absorbing the divine power of the divine sun to fight. Bugs from the ground, you are too arrogant. I will chop you all up. The youth in the lead had his face whipped by Yang Yang's ribbon, leaving behind a burn mark. This caused him to fly into a rage out of humiliation. You scoundrels, I want to return to my hometown. What right do you have to stop me? Yang Yang shouted angrily. The 9 ribbons in her hand became stronger and stronger, more and more violent. It was originally formed from her tail. She did not need any power to control the 9 tail feathers to erupt with a very strong divine power. Qin Yun also arrived beside Yang Yang and secretly released super gravity, enveloping her without a sound. The group of youths also knew how terrifying Yang Yang is. At this moment, they all rushed towards the teleportation formation, wanting to teleport back. However, just as they passed, they felt their bodies become very heavy. Originally, they were running, but now they could only walk. Bearing that formless weight, they slowly took heavy steps. What was even worse was that the 9 tail feathers in Yang Yang's hand violently whipped over. When they landed on the golden white crystal armor on their bodies, a series of loud explosions rang out. The dozen or so youths near the teleportation formation were sent flying far away in an instant. They were sent flying by the furious Yang Yang and then fell to the ground. They were suppressed by the super gravity released by Qin Yun, unable to get up. Descendants of the divine sun, is that all you have? Qin Yun said with a sneer. You guys aren't strong, but your tone is very arrogant. You treacherous and despicable worms. Get. Before the young man could finish, his mouth was slapped hard. Although Yang Yang's tail feathers looked like beautiful ribbons when they lashed out, they could even break weapons. What landed on the young man's mouth? A burst of purple gold, lightning fire erupted. The young man's mouth was smashed crookedly until it exploded. What alarmed Qin Yun was that Yang Yang's attacks seemed to be able to restrain these people. Yang Yang's long and beautiful tail feathers looked weak and flexible. They emitted a purple gold light, but when they attacked, their power was extremely fierce. The golden white crystal armors on the dozen or so youths were cracked. If they continued to be hit, those armors would definitely be destroyed. Although Qin Yun did not personally attack, he could tell that those armors were not simple. If not for the protection of those armors, the bones in their bodies would have long since been crushed by Qin Yun's super gravity. From what I see, you look more like worms. Qin Yun said mockingly. With your little strength, you actually have the courage to be so arrogant. You truly don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Shut up, you will definitely regret it. No matter where you hide, we, the descendants of the divine sun, will tear your corpses into 10,000 pieces. A young man shouted with a face full of anger. These youths are still speaking very arrogant words. They are all ruthless words. Qin Yun and Yang Yang are not afraid at all. Just you wait. The leading youth's voice is filled with resentment. After a deep roar, his body suddenly exploded. Yang Yang and Qin Yun are both stunned. Soon after, the bodies of the other youths also exploded one after another, turned into white mist and drilled into the golden white crystal ground. Qin Yun and Yang Yang immediately rushed over. They can see more than 10 white light balls drilling into the thick crystal ground, and all around them are dismembered corpses. Big brother, I didn't kill them. Yang Yang's small eyebrows are knitted together. Her cute little face is filled with doubt. How did they die? They said so many ruthless words just now and did not beg for mercy. They are not afraid of us killing them. Qin Yun looked at the scorching crystal ground and said, They must have escaped. Escaped? Yang Yang is somewhat confused and said, Why did they run? What did they run to? They abandoned their bodies and drilled their souls into the crystal ground. Qin Yun tightly gripped the nine-sun divine hammer, poured divine power into it, and vigorously smashed it down on the ground. Boom! Divine power exploded. The sound is very loud. However, after the divine hammer's power hit the ground, it did not produce any vibration. That powerful divine power poured into the crystal ground and then disappeared. So hard. Qin Yun is not too surprised. When Yang Yang's nine-tail feathers lashed the ground, he could see that the golden white crystal ground is very hard. Are those guys still alive? When will they come and take revenge for us? Yang Yang is not afraid of those people. On the contrary, she is looking forward to their arrival. Let's enter the divine sun first. Qin Yun smiled and gently pinched Yang Yang's little face. Big brother, carry me. Yang Yang giggled and jumped onto Qin Yun's back. Qin Yun carried the little girl and walked towards the hexagram teleportation formation. He stood on the teleportation formation and released his blood soul power to envelop the runes of the teleportation formation. To open this kind of teleportation formation, one usually needs talismans or something like that. However, Qin Yun does not need it. He released his blood soul power and inserted it into the runes inside the teleportation formation to find a method to open the formation. Teleportation formation requires a lot of energy, but this teleportation formation is directly set up on the surface of the Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. It can be opened by absorbing the divine power of the Divine Sun. Yang Yang, let's go, Qin Yun said with a smile. Yang Yang lied on Qin Yun's back and tightly grabbed his clothes. After the teleportation formation was activated, they quickly arrived at their destination. After the teleportation was successful, Qin Yun suddenly felt an incomparably scorching heat attack him. In that instant, he felt as if his body was about to be melted by the heat. The blood in his body is boiling, his bones are burning, and he is feeling dizzy. He immediately released his divine power to protect his body. The temperature inside the divine sun is extremely high. Qin Yun used the imperial heaven divine power to flow inside his heavenly body, allowing the heavenly body to unleash its full potential and block the bone-piercing heat. Yang Yang is fine. After defending, Qin Yun began to pay attention to his surroundings. This is the interior of the Myriad Realms' divine sun, but Qin Yun does not know where it is. According to his understanding, the interior of the divine sun usually has many regions. The most central region is the core region and also the most mysterious region. And at this moment, the place he is at is boundless. The sky is emitting golden white light. The ground under his feet is also golden white crystal. The difference is that the golden white crystal here is even denser and even hotter. Someone is coming. Yang Yang suddenly shouted in a low voice. Big brother, run? Those people are very strong. Are they really that strong? Qin Yun does not see anyone. Run. Yang Yang shouted again and then pointed her small hand in a certain direction. Qin Yun did not ask any more questions. He directly used the space divine power pearl stored inside the nether sun to use transcending void step. However, the space inside the Myriad Realms' divine sun is very stable. Qin Yun is unable to immediately use transcending void step. The consumption is huge. Qin Yun suddenly sensed danger approaching. He can only use 3 space divine power pearls in one go and use transcending void step to traverse several 100,000 feet. In the area where he had just been, an extremely intense light suddenly appeared on the crystalline ground in a radius of tens of thousands of feet. Then, a dense crowd of people appeared. These people are all wearing golden white armor. They are all descendants of the divine sun. Among this group of people are the dozen or so youths who self-destructed earlier. Those 2 crawling insects are over there. A youth pointed at the direction where Qin Yun and Yang Yang went and shouted. Although he shouted with all his strength, his voice is very soft and his expression is very ugly. These dozen or so youths' bodies were shattered before, but now they have been resurrected. only they are very weak. To be able to force you to abandon your bodies, their strength is definitely not weak. A middle-aged man said, "They don't have token, but they can open the teleportation formation and escape just now. They are very strong experts." Third uncle, "They're all crawling insect from the ground. No matter how strong they are, they're not stronger than us." The youth said very angrily, "They said they know the divine maiden. Maybe they wanted to stir the divine maiden transformation place." Hearing that someone wants to disturb the nine-sun divine maiden transformation place, these tens of thousands of people acted as if they were injected with chicken blood. They madly shouted and then rushed towards Qin Yun and Yang Yang. Qin Yun can only use light transformation sacred pupil to quickly rush forward. "Yang Yang, what's over there?" Qin Yun asked. Yang Yang is now giving him directions. "I also don't know. I feel that there is something over there." Yang Yang looked behind her and saw countless light dots flickering. She shouted in alarm, "They are catching up." Those people are wearing golden white crystal armors that are flickering with multicolored light. Tens of thousands of people are flying very fast in the sky. It is as if specks of starlight have gathered together and transformed into a surging wave. Chapter 24:11. Although Qin Yin only took a single step, he created a large distance between them. Relying on the light transformation sacred pupil, he and Yang Yang continuously flew forward like light, maintaining a very high speed. As long as he can create some distance between them, Qin Yin won't need to continue using Void Step. Using Void Step in this kind of environment will consume a lot of spatial divine power beads. Yang Yang, was your hometown like this before? How come there's so many crazy guys? Qin Yin can feel the formidable pressure coming from behind. Tens of thousands of people are madly rushing over. The mighty energy wave produced is very terrifying. "No, there are no such guys in my hometown. I have never seen them." Yang Yang is also puzzled. She muttered in low voice, "It's not easy for me to return home. How could I meet these guys?" Qin Yin wants to understand what kind of existence these divine sun descendants are, what kind of race they are, and why they know about the divine maiden. Ling Yun said, "Xiao Yun, I suspect that these divine sun descendants are outsiders." Outsiders? Myriad Realms divine sun allows these guys to exist? Qin Yin also feels that it is very strange because he has never heard of divine sun descendants. If there really is such a guy, then Jiang Zhouchuan would definitely know about it. When he was inside the divine sun, Jiang Zhouchuan did not mention this matter to Qin Yin. It can be seen that there are no divine sun descendants inside the ancestral divine Sunday. "Big brother, don't worry about those scoundrels behind us for now," Yang Yang said. Qin Yin knows that those who Yang Yang thinks are scoundrels are definitely extremely evil. In other words, those divine sun descendants are very likely to be transformed from some evil spirits. Xiao Yun, this third Myriad Realms divine sun, should be the weakest of the three Myriad Realms divine Sunday. It is normal for there to be some strange things here. Ling Yun said, "Let's go find Sister Shu Yin first." Lu Shu Yin has already arrived. Qin Yin doesn't know where she's inside the Myriad Realms divine Sunday. Yang Yang guided Qin Yin to a place that was very likely to be the core of the Myriad Realms divine Sunday. More and more divine sun descendants appear behind them. There are at least several 100,000 of them. What surprised Qin Yin is that their speed is getting faster and faster. Some of them can even drill into the golden white crystals on the ground. After those people entered the crystal ground, they're like fish in the water. They can swim very fast. What the hell is this? After Qin Yin saw it, he could not help but speed up to prevent himself from being caught. "Brother, I know what they are," Yang Yang suddenly said. "They are all insects." "Worms?" Qin Yin was puzzled. "They aren't humans?" "They're humans, but they're similar to bugs. Bugs that live inside Divine Yang's body," Yang Yang said. Qin Yin suddenly understood that the descendants of the Divine Sun were most likely parasitizing the Myriad Realms Divine Sun through some strange technique. In other words, the third universe deity Sun might have fallen sick and infected some strange creatures. Even the myriad world's divine sons could not destroy the descendants of the divine sons. Ling Yin also said, Little Yun, Yang Yang's meaning should be that this kind of descendant of the divine son is a special existence that resides within the divine son. Yang Yang, do you remember anything? How much do you know about these insects? Qin Yun asked. Yang Yang must have thought of something. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that. Let me think. Yang Yang leaned on Qin Yun's back and tried very hard to recall. The sounds of people chasing and cursing continuously came from behind. The noisy divine son made people feel very annoyed. Qin Yun released a barrier to isolate the sound of the outside world, allowing Yang Yang to recall in peace. What made him very shocked is that the descendants of the divine son appeared one after another from all over the place. Some suddenly fell from the sky, some suddenly ran out from the ground. In the blink of an eye, there are millions of them. These descendants of the divine son seem to know about the nine-sun goddess. Moreover, they seem to be paying special attention to her. Qin Yun thought about it carefully and felt that these descendants of the divine son are very concerned about the nine-sun goddess. They must have bad intentions. When he and Yang Yang were outside, the descendants of the divine son that he came into contact with were very arrogant. They called the humans on the ground crawling on the ground. It can be seen that this kind of people definitely do not have a good impression of humans. They definitely view human life as worthless grass. I remember, there is a heavenly universe divine son in the 9 heavens, and there are many of these fellows. It is because of these fellows that the 9 heavens became very chaotic. Yang Yang suddenly said, An old granny once told me that these scoundrels are bugs. They parasitized inside the heavenly universe divine son and then caused the heavens divine son to become bad. It also caused the entire 9 heavens to become bad. Qin Yun's heart suddenly trembled. The environment of the 9 heavens is very bad. Cannibalism is very common and also very normal. Moreover, the people from the 9 heavens seem to be affected by something and become extremely evil. It is extremely possible that it is because the heavenly universe divine son is inhabited by the descendants of the divine son. Could it be that these fellows are the source of evil? Where did they come from? Qin Yun muttered. Was it because of the influence of these fellows that the 9 suns fell and destroyed the world? It is very difficult for the descendants of the divine son to die. Previously, they were already beaten to the ground, but they suddenly self-destructed. Their souls easily drilled into the extremely sturdy crystal. Moreover, the soul can absorb the divine power of the divine sun and quickly condense a body. Yang Yang is the sun soul. The divine power she released earlier seems to be able to restrain the descendants of the divine sun. Xiao Yun, quickly find Sister Shu Yan. These fellows have a very bad influence on the divine son, and they are also eyeing the divine daughter. Ling Yun said, Sister Shu Yan might know these fellows very well. I wonder if there are such things in the ancestral divine son and the second myriad world's divine son. Qin Yun is suddenly very worried that Lu Yushuyan will be disturbed by these things. Yang Yang pointed the way and led Qin Yun in a certain direction. That place is completely empty. It seems like there is nothing there. The space inside the divine sun is very large. Qin Yun ran for 4 hours, but still did not reach the end. We're almost there. Yang Yang suddenly shouted, Big brother, pay more attention to the surroundings. I feel that there is something here. The ground inside the divine sun is paved with golden white crystals. Even if you dig very deep, you will still find golden white crystals. The ground is also releasing golden white light rays. Because the light rays are rather strong, it is impossible to see through the crystals. However, after Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye, he saw a rather different place in front of him. In front of him, there's a small area with a circular ground. It looks like a circular pool of water. However, with naked eyes, the ground is still filled with golden white crystals. Only by using heavenly eye can one see a circular white pool of water. It's a teleportation formation, and it's even hidden. After Qin Yun got closer, He caught many runes and immediately realized that they are spatial runes. He promptly used light, transformation's sacred pupil, and brought Yang Yang to the top of the invisible teleportation formation in the blink of an eye. It's here, it's here. Yang Yang sensed it and hastily shouted. Qin Yun immediately released an extremely strong blood spirit power to activate the teleportation formation. Damn it, hurry up. Qin Yun gritted his teeth and cursed. He did not expect that this teleportation formation would be so difficult to activate. And those Divine Sun descendants are constantly shouting crazily. When they rushed over, they brought along a burst of scorching hot and evil gale. Qin Yun promptly took out 3 space divine power pearls and shattered them. Then he controlled the space divine power and poured it into the formation along with the blood spirit power. Only now did he realize that this formation cannot absorb the Divine Sun's energy. It needs external energy to be activated. This means that if someone is not proficient in formations, they will not be able to use this hidden teleportation formation. Could this be a passage deliberately left behind by the myriad realms' Divine Sun? Qin Yun secretly guessed. He suspects that this teleportation formation can teleport to the core of the myriad realms' Divine Sunday. The distant group of Divine Sun descendants are now condensing powerful divine power and pouring it into the golden white crystal spears in their hands. Then they crazily threw them over. I'll block them. Yang Yang suddenly came down from Qin Yun's back. Her small hands danced, and 9 purple gold ribbons appeared. These are her purple gold tail feathers. They extended very long and enveloped the invisible formation. Boom, boom, boom. Those spears bombarded the protective barrier formed by the purple gold tail feathers and produced a series of explosive sounds. And at this moment, those Divine Sun descendants are already approaching. That incomparably crazy roar shook the area, causing Qin Yun and Yang Yang to feel great pressure. Let's go. Qin Yun also successfully activated the teleportation formation. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yun and Yang Yang disappeared. Not long after, the group of Divine Sun descendants also arrived. When they saw Qin Yun and Yang Yang disappear, they crazily shouted. Many of them even drilled into the ground. They did not know the existence of the teleportation formation. Qin Yun and Yang Yang passed through the mysterious teleportation formation and teleported to a space that is filled with a vast expanse of whiteness. There seems to be no ground here because looking down, there is only a dense white mist. Qin Yun and Yang Yang can only float in the air. Big brother, this is my hometown. I once lived here for a very long time. Yang Yang said with a smile. We are safe now. Is that so? Didn't the sun fall before? Your hometown should have been destroyed, and now it has been restored. Qin Yun looked around. He did not see anything and also did not sense the divine power of the myriad realms' Divine Sunday. I don't know. When I returned here, I felt that it was very familiar. Yang Yang flew in front and said with a charming laugh, Big brother, I will take you to see the waterfall. My hometown's 9-color waterfall is very beautiful. Qin Yun can only follow Yang Yang and fly forward. After flying for more than half a day, they did not see the 9-color waterfall, but instead saw a sun. It is not the myriad realms' divine sun, nor is it any other divine Sunday. It is one of the 9 suns, a very ordinary-looking sun. Chapter 24:12. When Yang Yang saw the small sun, she wanted to rush over to take a look, but she was pulled back by Qin Yun, preventing her from running around. Big brother, this is the sun from back then. Why is it here? And it has become so small. Yang Yang is also very puzzled. She said in low voice, I thought the sun was gone. Qin Yun suddenly thought of many things. The small sun in front of him should be the core of the myriad realms' divine sun. Although it has evolved into the myriad realms' divine sun, the core is still the 9 suns from back then, the 9 suns that Qin Yun and Yang Yang are familiar with. The core of the 9 suns has never been destroyed along with the sun falling to the ground. Instead, it is hidden somewhere else. So that's how it is. Qin Yun carefully recalled that there are a few layers inside the myriad realms' divine sunland. The outermost layer should be a shell. When they entered from the shell, they saw a large group of divine sun descendants. That should be the outer region of the divine sun's interior. Jiang Zhouchuan said that when their 9 heavens divine race entered the myriad realms' divine sun, they were only in the outer region and did not know where the core region was. The place that Qin Yun and Yang Yang arrived at is the core region. This is an area that divine sun descendants cannot enter. If the divine sun descendants can enter this place, it means that this divine sun is already very dangerous. The core will immediately hide and let the divine sun fall to the ground and destroy it, completely killing the group of divine sun descendants and all kinds of evil beings that want to control the divine sun. For billions of years, the 9 suns have been repeating this. Even after many rebirths, they are still unable to get rid of the divine sun descendants. This is the core of the divine sun, the sun we are familiar with. Qin Yun let go of Yang Yang's hand and said, "Let's go take a look." The core of the sun is a sun that has shrunk many times. It is about 10,000 feet tall and floated in this vast expanse of white space. The light released is very gentle and warm, not as scorching and uncomfortable as when it is outside. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and looked at the core of the sun. He discovered that there is a graceful figure at the center of the sun's core. That figure is Lu Yu Shuyan. Lu Yu Shuyan can enter the sun's core. It seems like she is in the transformation realm. Yang Yang flew over. She is unable to enter the sun's core. She can only circle around it. Qin Yun flew over and arrived at the side of the sun's core. He passed through the layer of fiery red light and wanted to enter the core, but he discovered that he was blocked by a very strong object. He touched it with his hand and took a closer look. He found that it was a golden red solid. It didn't look like a crystal, but it was very solid. The sun's core is really hard. Qin Yun secretly used his penetration divine ability in an attempt to burrow in, but to no avail. He did not dare to attack the core for fear of being reflected and injured. As he was unable to enter, Qin Yun flew out of the fiery red light. When will Sister Shuyan come out? Qin Yun thought of the ancestor divine sun and the second myriad realm's divine Sunday, Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Yueme, are each in the inner transformation realm of a divine Sunday. He didn't know where Yang Yang had run off to, but he could still hear her bell-like laughter. She must be having a lot of fun on the sun's core. "Big brother, look, it's the 9-color waterfall," Yang Yang shouted with a charming smile. A burst of 9-colored light suddenly surged forth from the core of the massive, fireball-like sun, before crashing down from above like a surging river. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that it wasn't 9-colored mist, but 9-colored water, and it was even making splashing sounds. Yang Yang was at the forefront of the waves, falling with a 9-colored waterfall. Hualala! Qin Yun finally saw the 9-color waterfall. He is also very shocked. It is as if an incomparably huge 9-colored river appeared on top of a huge fireball. Moreover, it even formed a waterfall. This is simply inconceivable. What puzzled Qin Yun the most is that the 9-colored waterfall only appeared after they arrived. It was created by Yang Yang. He promptly floated to a high place and looked down at the top of the huge fireball. 9-colored liquid gushed out, then formed 4 9-colored rivers that flowed in all directions, forming 4 waterfalls. This core was originally very big. After forming the fireball, the multicolored light released made the whole body become even bigger. Therefore, the river formed is also not small. It is more than 100 feet wide. "Yang Yang, how did you do it?" Qin Yun promptly asked. "I also don't know. I just went to the top and saw a layer of light barrier. After I opened it, a very big fountain appeared. Yang Yang flew to the top of the core and then jumped down as if she was diving. Finally, she fell down along with the water flow. This sun's core is like a huge fireball, but there is a fountain at the top. The spring water also formed 4 huge 9-colored rivers that flowed in all directions. In the end, the water flowed down like a waterfall and fell straight down. In the vast expanse of white space, there is a white mist below, as if there is no bottom. The 9-colored spring water fell down and gradually formed soil and rocks. The earth appeared. Could it be that it's because we came that it's like this? Qingyun is also at the top of the 9-colored spring. Big brother, it's very safe here. Let little Mo, little queen ant, and little jade rabbit come out to play. Yang shouted. Is it really safe? Qingyun is not at ease. Mo, little jade rabbit, and little queen ant, these 3 little cuties don't have any fighting strength. Yang is very strong, so Qingyun is at ease with her. It's very safe. Yang is playing in the water, following the waterfall to the ground. That kind of feeling made her feel very excited. Let me confirm again. Qingyun is still not at ease. This is the interior of the myriad realms' divine sun, and there are many descendants of the divine sun outside. He is worried that those descendants of the divine sun will attack. Furthermore, he saw the mouth of the 9-colored spring water and felt that it might be the entrance to the inner core. Yang, can you enter the inner core through that fountain? Qingyun asked. I don't know. Let's get a try. Yang also flew to Qingyun's side and said with mischievous smile, Big brother, I'll go in first. Yang jumped into the spring. She wanted to enter the center of the sun core through the spring, but she did not succeed. Because the spring water is very strong, the mouth of the spring is more than 100 feet wide. It is very large, and a large amount of 9-colored spring water is continuously gushing out. Even Yang was unable to break through the terrifying gushing spring pressure. Qingyun took a deep breath and released the mental nethermoon. It floated in the sky and became bigger. He released formidable mental power and sent it into the sun core. He is trying to use his formidable mental power to communicate with Luyu Shuyan. Sister Shuyan. Qingyun used his mental power to gently call out to Luyu Shuyan. He tried for less than half an hour and was about to give up when he suddenly heard Luyu Shuyan's divine sun voice. Xiaoyan, you're here? Yang also heard the voice and shouted in alarm. It's Sister Yaofeng, back in the 9-sun divine soul. Yang also knew Yaofeng back then. That's why she called out to her. Yang also has one, Luyu Shuyan said with light smile. That's great. I'm relieved that you can safely arrive here. Sister Shuyan, what's going on here? Qingyun asked. This place and those divine sun descendants outside. It's a long story. I only found out a lot of things after I came in. Xiaoyun, those divine sun descendants are a very special kind of human. They are very powerful. Their existence is to control and devour all kinds of suns. Luyu Shuyan said. How do they get here? Qingyun asked. I also don't know. They're like ants. They can always find a powerful divine Sunday. Then, like ants' moving house, a large number of them will appear inside the divine sun. Luyu Shuyan sighed and said, This is also the greatest enemy that divine sun faces. Qingyun explained the situation to Luyu Shuyan. Those divine sun descendants seem to be very concerned about you. Do they want to protect you or do something else? Qingyun asked. Let's put it this way. An ant nest needs an ant queen to reproduce. To them, a divine lady's divine son is a perfect ant nest. They want to treat me as their race queen. Liu Shuyan said, Elder sister, those guys are very bad. Yang said very angrily. They're very bad bugs. They want to destroy divine sun. Qingyun clenched his fists and cursed in his heart. These vile bugs don't even think about doing anything to Sister Shuyan. Yang can come here because she is a sun spirit. Xiaoyun, you can come here because of the divine position. Luyu Shuyan said, Your divine king heavenly seal is also a sun god deity position. Qingyun suddenly recalled and promptly took out the divine king heavenly seal and asked, Sister Shuyan, what use does my sun god deity position have here? It has a very great use. However, you need to use your perception to modify the divine king heavenly seal and use it to restrain those divine sun descendants. As long as you modify it well, you can obtain divine sun power. Divine sun has never known how to restrain those divine sun descendants. so they want to borrow humans' power to help exterminate them. And we 9 sun divine ladies exist to exterminate the divine sun descendants. However, we have failed to live up to divine sun's expectations and are unable to find an effective method to restrain them. Liu Shuyan feels very helpless. She only hopes that Qin Yun will succeed. Otherwise, the 9 myriad realms divine suns that will appear in the divine desolate will also fall to the ground, and the 9 suns world extermination will reappear. Qin Yun looked at the divine king heavenly seal in his hand and suddenly felt that this heavenly seal is very heavy. Back then, he obtained the deity position and also obtained the help of the sun. However, he never knew that the sun would face such a threat. Even if he knew, he wouldn't be able to help and would be killed by the divine sun descendants. Chapter 24:13. Liu Shuyan's words caused Qin Yun to sink into silence. He was already mentally prepared. But after hearing Liu Shuyan say that he is a tool, his heart still suffered a great blow. Xiao Yun, don't take this matter to heart. Liu Shuyan saw that Qin Yun did not continue speaking and comforted him. This matter is very complicated and you don't need to know too much. You just need to understand that you are now completely free. No one can control your fate. Sister Shuyan, I'm fine. Qin Yun already thought it through. Ling Yuner comforted him before. Liu Shuyan said that this matter is very complicated. It can be seen that something happened later on that caused him to escape from the fate of being a tool. As for who arranged for him to work as a tool, he also wants to know, but Liu Shuyan will definitely not tell him. It's good that you are fine, Liu Shuyan said with gentle smile. Xiao Yun, next you will be modifying the Divine King Heavenly Seal. I believe you will succeed. Qin Yun looked at the Divine King Heavenly Seal and the human statue on it is his appearance. This made him vaguely feel that his fate is in his hands. As long as I modify it properly, I can use the divine power of myriad realms divine sun through the divine King Heavenly Seal, right? Qin Yun roughly understands how formidable the divine King Heavenly Seal is. Yes, as long as you can use it to protect myriad realms divine sun, you can borrow the divine power of 9 myriad realms divine suns. Liu Shuyan said, Sister Shuyan, why can't I communicate with myriad realms divine sun? Qin Yun is already here, but he is still unable to communicate with myriad realms divine sun spirit. Liu Shuyan sighed lightly. Myriad realms divine sun can't communicate with you. Anyone can communicate with myriad realms divine Sunday, but only you can't. Why? Qin Yun is very puzzled. Since I have such an important heavenly seal, why is myriad realms divine sun unwilling to communicate with me? Because myriad realms divine sun cannot affect you. Once it communicates with you, it will have a great influence on you and then cause some changes to occur. Liu Shuyan said, furthermore, myriad realms divine sun's perception towards heaven and earth might not be as good as yours. You don't need to communicate with myriad realms divine sun. Qin Yun sighed. He clenched the godly monarch heavenly seal and asked, do the ancestor godson and second godson have divine sun descendants? Originally, the myriad realms divine sun was lured in by the 9 heavens divine race to deal with the descendants of the divine sun. However, the growth of the 9 heavens divine clan was too slow. Divine sun descendants reproduce very quickly. Even if we kill one batch, another batch will immediately appear. Liu Shuyan said, don't worry about Yuelon and Yuma. They are very safe in the core region. Qin Yun looked down. Originally, there was a churning white fog with no ground. However, with the appearance of the 9-colored spring water, the land gradually formed. After Qin Yun landed on the ground, he looked at the fireball in the sky and said, Sister Shuyan, I am just a tool. The sovereigns of the various heavens can't kill me now because the 9 suns need me. If I help the 9 suns get rid of the divine sun's descendant, will I lose my value? Qin Yun repeatedly thought about this matter. The reason why he was not killed by the Empyreans was because he had the 9 suns heaven-raising pagoda. It could be said that the power of the nine suns was helping him block the Empyreans. The reason why he could escape the pursuit of the Empyreans was also because he could enter the myriad realms' divine Sunday. It was Yang Yang who brought him here. It was the divine sun, heavenly beasts outside that forced the Empyreans to retreat. No, there is no need for the nine suns to do this. If you help the nine suns get rid of the divine sun's descendant, the nine suns will make you stronger and help you defy the heavenly rule, Tao orthodoxy. You and the nine suns have a cooperative relationship. Then what about your nine sun divine maiden? Why does the nine sun divine maiden follow the heavenly rule, Tao orthodoxy? To help me, a tool, become stronger? This is what Qin Yun is most puzzled about. Because the nine suns are also a part of the heavenly rule Tao orthodoxy, they need to carry out the mission of the heavenly rule Tao orthodoxy. Liu Shuyan sighed faintly. Xiao Yun, there have been many twists and turns in this matter, so you are now completely free. Furthermore, you have also lived your own life, so don't worry about this time. Don't worry about this matter. We will help you. All right. Qin Yun suddenly felt relieved and no longer bothered about this matter. The nine sun divine maiden have a common mission. That is to protect Qin Yun. Qin Yun suddenly understood that this so-called protection is to prevent him from being killed by the heavenly sovereigns and then help the nine suns eliminate the divine sun's descendant. Or perhaps it is to stabilize his mind and prevent him from collapsing after realizing that he is a tool. Right now, Qin Yun's top priority is to become stronger, because he has to face too many enemies. The threat from the nine heavens, the threat from the heavenly sovereigns, the divine sun's descendant, and even more unknown powerful existences, especially the mysterious ancient desolate. Qin Yun once went to the ancient desolate, but now it is completely sealed. He doesn't know how to go there. According to what he knows, many ancient experts can go to the ancient desolate. For example, the Mother Moon is in the ancient desolate, and many old gods gave up their god position to go to the ancient desolate. Xiao Yun, your divine king heavenly seal is not complete. Let go of the divine king heavenly seal now. I will refine it inside the core. Liu Shuyan said. After Qin Yun let go, the divine king heavenly seal was suddenly sucked into the huge fireball. How long? Qin Yun asked. It will be done very soon. Liu Shuyan smiled and said, Xiao Yun, since you can enter here, the divine king heavenly seal can be refined. It must be refined inside the nine divine suns before it can become complete. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, So, this is a test for me? Liu Shuyan said with a smile, It can be considered so. If you can't come, you won't be able to prove your strength. And this will also let you know about the divine sun's descendants. Qin Yun sat on the ground and watched Yang Yang happily play. The reason he was able to come here was because Yang Yang brought him in. He suddenly felt that his life as a tool is pretty good. He was accompanied by Yang Yang very early on. Later on, he encountered many things, and on the way to this myriad realm's divine sun, he met the heavenly sovereigns and learned of his fate. Qin Yun took a few deep breaths, then closed his eyes and recalled his encounter with the divine sun's descendants. The divine sun's descendants are not very strong. Otherwise, more than 10 Tao God Realm experts would not have been suppressed by him and Yang Yang. But after thinking about it carefully, he realized that the divine sun's descendants are not easy to kill, and there are a lot of them. Most importantly, he didn't know where they came from. However, when the divine sun grows to a certain extent, the divine sun's descendants will appear out of nowhere. Qin Yun suddenly recalled that the divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain, and the Purple Sun Heavenly Island were formed by the explosion of the divine universe, Purple Sunday. Why did the powerful divine universe, Purple Sun, explode? It was extremely likely that it was corroded by the divine sun's descendants and self-destructed. The fairy emperor had said that there were some ruins within the divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain. There had once been a race within the divine universe, Purple Sun, leaving behind a flourishing civilization. But even so, the divine universe, Purple Sun, was still destroyed. The ruins that the Purple Sun elves saw Could it be the humans inside the divine universe, Purple Sun? These humans were created by the divine universe, Purple Sun, and their mission is to exterminate the descendants of the divine sun. Qin Yun carefully recalled many things, especially when he thought of how the descendants of the divine sun could enter the crystal. He felt that the descendants of the divine sun most likely came with a blue sky. The appearance of the blue sky was also very mysterious, and it had a lot to do with the divine sun. This blue heavenly domain wandered through many god realms and finally exploded in the god desolate land. At that time, it was mainly to exterminate those 9 heavens divine demons. However, after the blue sky exploded, the 9 heavens divine demons were not destroyed. The blue sky came from the 9 heavens. It is extremely likely that it came from the 9 heavens divine sun. Within the 9 heavens divine sun, there are also humans created by the divine sun to fight against the descendants of the divine sun. Thinking of this, Qin Yun felt that the 9 heavens was about to be finished. The 9 heavens had an extremely powerful divine sun day. After the divine sun was corrupted, it would gradually affect the living beings of the 9 heavens. That was why the 9 heavens was like hell on earth. In the 9 heavens, there are also 9 heavenly goddesses. Qin Yun suddenly thought that the 9 heavens god realm was somewhat similar to the 9 desolate. The 9 heavens goddesses definitely had different missions. Tian Shixiang was Yu Shangyun, one of the 9 heavens goddesses. As for Tian Shiro, she was Xie Kuru, one of the 9 heavens goddesses. The other one was Luo Yaofeng. She was the 9 sun goddess and also one of the 3 great divine kings of the 9 heavens, the Shadow God King. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, every god realm has a powerful divine sun. The divine sun's entire life is spent fighting against the descendants of the divine sun until it is destroyed. And the destroyed divine sun can also bring about the birth of a new divine sun. The cycle repeats. The 9 heavens, heavenly universe divine sun might be destroyed. Previously, there was also a divine universe, purple sun, that exploded in some unknown god realm, and its fragments flew into the heavens god desolate. If the 9 heavens, heavenly universe divine sun exploded, it might affect the heavens god desolate. Sister Shuyin, the descendants of the divine sun, have never appeared on the surface. Have they always been inside the divine sun? Qin Yun asked. He has never heard of anyone mentioning this kind of human before. At the moment, yes, because the descendants of the divine sun are very dependent on the energy of the divine sun. Moreover, inside the divine sun, they could be close to an immortal state. Lu Yu Shuyin said, however, it is different in the heavens god desolate. 9 mighty divine sons of the myriad realms will be born here. These 9 mighty myriad realms, these 9 powerful myriad realms divine sun, are enough for the descendants of the divine sun to evolve to the point where they don't need to rely on the divine sun. At this time, the divine king heavenly seal flew back. After Qin Yun grabbed it, he did not discover any difference. It is still the same. Xiao Yun, you don't need to be in a hurry to deal with the descendants of the divine sun. Only when the divine sun grows to a certain extent will it be destroyed by the descendants of the divine sun. It takes at least 10 to 20,000 years. Lu Yu Shuyin said, quickly go to the ancestor divine sun and second divine sun and place your divine king heavenly seal inside their cores to refine. Sister Shuyin, what about you? When will you be able to reach transformation realm? Qin Yun asked. I also don't know when I will be able to complete transformation realm. You don't need to worry about me. I am very safe here. Lu Yu Shuyin said, after the heavens Emperor Venerables appeared, the situation in the heavens god desolate became more and more complicated. You must be very careful. Chapter 24:14. Yang Yang, let's go to second divine sun. Qin Yun shouted. Yang Yang suddenly flew towards Qin Yun and lied down on his back. She said with smile, Big brother, one of my 9-tail feathers is already evolved. After I get second godson and ancestral godson, I can evolve 2 more. When all 9 tail feathers have completely evolved, I will be the 9 heavens vermilion bird. Lu Yushuyan said with smile. Yang Yang is very awesome. She was created by the 9 suns, so she can suppress the descendants of the divine sun to a certain extent. I see. Then can my 9-son divine hammer and heaven-trampling divine boots suppress the descendants of the divine sun? Qin Yun asked. Yes, but you can't completely restrain or kill them. This requires you, little Yun, to comprehend it. Once you comprehend the method to restrain it, you can borrow the power of the divine sun through the God King heavenly seal. Lui West Shuyan said, in the future, when the 9 suns appear, you will borrow the power of the 9 suns. He is the strongest. Qin Yun already knew that the divine king heavenly seal was related to the divine sun. It is just that it has yet to form its complete form. Also, the godly monarch heaven seal was related to the heavenly Tao. This was because he had previously contacted Yunlong through the godly monarch heaven seal. Yunlong was the shopkeeper of the heavenly Tao pawn shop, and the God King heaven seal had a resonance with the heavenly Tao pawn shop shopkeeper's token. Sister Shuyan, after you come out, you must inform me as soon as possible, Qin Yun said. Once I succeed, I will immediately use various methods to contact you. Lu Yushuyan nodded and said. Although Yang Yang wanted to stay here, she still followed Qin Yun and reluctantly bid farewell to Lu Yushuyan. Finally, she slid down the 9-colored waterfall. Qin Yun and Yang Yang were directly teleported outside. In the blink of an eye, they arrived outside the myriad realms' divine Sunday. Land is gradually appearing in the core region of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. Is it about to create life? Asked Qin Yun as he stroked Yang Yang's tiny head. Yes, it might create many spirits. Yang Yang laughed. It should be the divine sun elves. The next time I go there, I might be able to play with many little elves. This reminded Qin Yun of the purple sun pixies. The purple sun fairies were born from the fragments of the divine universe, purple sun, and they were extremely powerful. Big brother, are we going to second God's sun now? Yang Yang pointed in a direction and said, It's over there. Qin Yun and Yang Yang were only teleported to the outside of the 30th universe divine Sunday. They were still inside the dense white fog. They were still very close to the divine sun. I plan to capture a few divine sun descendants first. Qin Yun knew too little about the divine sun descendants. If he did not capture a few to study, he would not be able to find a way to restrain them. All right. Yang Yang smiled happily and said, It's like fishing. First, we'll catch a few, and then we'll catch them all in one go. Qin Yun smiled and gently stroked Yang Yang's head. He said, Yang Yang, do you want to go back and play with little Momo and the rest? I'll help Big Brother catch those bad guys first, then go back and play with little Mo and the others. I want to tell them about the rainbow waterfall. They like to listen to my stories. Yang Yang laughed tenderly. She was the big sister of those little cuties. All right, let's go now. Qin Yun brought Yang Yang and flew towards the divine sun once again, heading toward the teleportation formation's location. Last time, they met the divine sun descendants here. Yang Yang, do you know how to lure those bad guys out? Qin Yun asked. Not long after, they arrived above the teleportation formation. They did not descend. Instead, they hid inside the light mist and waited for the divine sun descendants to appear. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and can see the situation of the golden white crystal ground. If someone wants to come out, the teleportation formation will react. Oh, let me think. Yang Yang sucked her finger, slightly frowning as she recalled the fragments of memories in her mind. After a while, Yang Yang said, Use Divine Universe Golden Stone. Those bad guys really like Divine Universe Golden Stone. That's easy. Qin Yun still has many Divine Universe Golden Stones in his hands. Over the years, he used the 9-dragon Heavenly Origin formation and consumed many Divine Universe Golden Stones. Now, he still has 2,000 to 3,000. Apart from this, there is also a relatively large Divine Universe Amethyst. Qin Yun took out the box containing the Divine Universe Golden Stones and can't help but think of the Bloodline Heavenly Rune box. The Bloodline Heavenly Rune box transformed into a very strange Bloodline Heavenly Rune and fused with the 9 Desolate Divine Saber, which is the current Myriad Heaven Divine Saber. To Qin Yun, this Bloodline Heavenly Rune is still a mystery. Only Yushi is clear about this secret. Qin Yun took out a few Divine Universe Golden Stones and then released the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron on the golden white crystal ground. The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron is also very resistant to heat. It has no problem at all on the surface of the Divine Sun. It won't melt. He placed the Divine Universe Golden Stones inside the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron, then released the Divine Cauldron Tao image and placed it inside the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron. This will strengthen his control over the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron and allow it to absorb divine power even better. The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron is like a small mountain. Its 9 handles are 9 mighty golden stones that are emitting bright and dazzling golden energy flame. Qin Yun put away the cauldron lid. Once the Divine Sun Descendant enters the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron, he will close the lid. Big brother, will those bad guys really take the bait? This is clearly a trap. Yang Yang mumbled, those bad guys shouldn't be that stupid, right? Qin Yun said with smile, don't overestimate their intelligence. They have never seen my cauldron before, and they are all arrogant and conceited. They are definitely fearless. The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron is on the surface of the Divine Sun. In the eyes of the Divine Sun Descendant, as long as they are on the surface of the Divine Sun, they are invincible. They don't need to be afraid of anything. After Qin Yun set the trap, he patiently waited. Half a day later, the teleportation formation suddenly reacted. Qin Yun immediately became spirited and controlled the hidden cauldron lid, ready to close it at any time. Among the Divine Sun Descendants that came out, there are 2 middle-aged men and 10 young men. They are not weak. They are all wearing golden white armor and holding golden white long sabers. They are different from the previous group. The previous group of Divine Sun Descendants mainly used spears, and this group used sabers. What is this thing? A young man who appeared in the teleportation formation looked at the golden and dazzling cauldron that is like a small mountain and asked doubtfully, there is Divine Universe Golden Stone Fluctuation. It is very strong. The middle-aged man in the lead excitedly flew towards the cauldron while speaking. There really are Divine Universe Golden Stones, and there are 5 of them. Another middle-aged man also rushed over very excitedly. Haha, this is great. It really is Divine Universe Golden Stone. Fortunately, we came out to take a look, otherwise we would have been picked up by others. These 10 or so Divine Sun Descendants excitedly flew towards the cauldron and entered it. The fluctuation of Divine Universe Golden Stone is very penetrating. It can even penetrate space. They should have already sensed it when they were inside the Divine Sun, but they were not sure, so they sent people out. After they entered the cauldron, Qin Yun immediately released a super gravity to cover the mouth of the cauldron, not letting them rush out. These Divine Sun Descendants are very strong, and their reaction is also very fast. They can immediately sense the gravity that appeared at the mouth of the cauldron. They immediately rushed up, but after their bodies collided with the gravity, their bodies seemed to be weightless and floated at the mouth of the cauldron. Bang! A huge cauldron lid suddenly pressed down and then fused together with the entire cauldron body. There's not a single gap between the cauldron lid and the cauldron body. It is as if they are one whole. Bang, bang, bang. Waves of muffled sounds came out from the cauldron. Those Divine Sun Descendants are randomly hitting each other. There's a huge and mighty heavenly lion head on the cauldron lid. After Qin Yun slowly landed, he floated beside the cauldron. Success! Yang Yang giggled and said, these guys are really stupid. I didn't even need to make a move. Qin Yun withdrew the Heavenly Lion Tao image, shrunk the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron, held it in his hand, and flew away with Yang Yang. With Yang Yang here, even if they encounter Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts, they will not be attacked. This will allow Qin Yun to safely leave the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. 2 days later, Qin Yun and Yang Yang already flew out of the third universe Divine Sun's light fog and flew towards the nearby second Divine Sunday. When Qin Yun flew out, he looked into the distance and suddenly discovered that the myriad heavens divine moon has undergone a huge change. The myriad heavens divine moon is now enveloped by a layer of blue light. The divine moon has begun to transform. Qin Yun looked at the distant myriad heavens divine moon and said with a serious expression, "After the myriad heavens divine moon transformation, the divine moon clan will definitely do their best to occupy the divine moon." He promptly took out a communication talisman and contacted the nameless old man. "Palace King, I finally contacted you." The nameless old man's anxious voice transmitted into Qin Yun's mind through the communication talisman. "Nameless old man, what happened during this period of time?" Qin Yun asked. "Many major events have occurred. The myriad heavens venerables have appeared. Divine King Jiang Xian, Heavenly Demon Divine King, and other divine kings have all arrived at the myriad heavens divine desolate. Moreover, they shamelessly said that they are the divine kings of the myriad heavens divine desolate." The nameless old man said, "Where are you?" Qin Yun is not surprised. This is the information he obtained long ago. "I am not with Jiang Jiuchuan. Jiang Jiuchuan's life is very difficult now. Nine Heavens divine race is already under the control of divine King Jiang Xian. I am at the Myriad Realms Divine Palace." "Palace King, where are you?" "I want to go to the second Divine Sun." "What is the situation with the Myriad Heavens Divine Moon?" Qin Yun asked. Divine Moon Clan and Guanghan Palace have already retreated from the Myriad Heavens Divine Moon and entered the Sword Forest Desert. The Myriad Heavens Divine Moon is currently in a very dangerous situation. I don't know what is happening inside. It is said that a divine king from another divine realm charged in without any regard for his life and escaped with heavy injuries. The nameless old man said, "The Myriad Heavens Divine Moon Transformation Realm is actually like this. It means that during this period of time, no one can enter the Divine Moon. If the Divine Moon clan has no way out, they will definitely be surrounded and killed by Divine King Jiang Xian, Heavenly Demon Divine King, and the Myriad Heavens Venerables. The Divine Moon clan was originally going to face a calamity, but now that they have entered the Sword Forest Desert, they can temporarily avoid it. Chapter 24:15. In the Divine Wilderness. Only Qin Yun had a native godly monarch heavenly seal. Whether it was the nameless old man, even Jiang Jiuchuan, an outsider, only recognized Qin Yun as the God King. God Kings that came from other God worlds were only strong in their original God worlds. After coming to the gods desolate, their God King heavenly seals would be much weaker. Luo Yaofeng was the Shadow God King in the Nine Heavens. She had a portion of the God King heavenly seal in her hands. When she came to the God Wilderness, the power of the Yushan seal head was greatly weakened. Nameless old man, ignore those godly kings for now. They won't be able to run rampant for long. Sooner or later, I will go and take care of them. Qin Yun is not afraid of those godly kings. In his eyes, those God Kings were just stronger Shin Tian monarchs. The God King heavenly seals in their hands were not complete. When they came to God Desolate, they were unable to unleash much of their power. All right, then I'll wait for you to come back, the nameless old man said. Qin Yun put away the communication talisman and looked at the divine moon that emitted a blue glow. He felt a lot more at ease knowing that the Divine Moon Clan and Moon Palace had safely moved to Sword Forest Desert. Yang Yang had already entered the Nine Yang Divine Spirit. She said that she wanted to go in to eat, but the main reason was to enter the Divine Universe Purple Sun to rest. Qin Yun's Nine Sun Divine Soul has two Chaos Divine Suns. One is Divine Cosmos Purple Sun, and one is Heavenly Cosmos Divine Sunday. Among them, the two primal divine suns were relatively weak. He planned to merge the two primal divine suns together. This way, he would be able to improve even more. If I fuse two primal divine suns together, it will definitely increase by a lot. Moreover, I will be able to use them at that time. Qin Yin secretly thought, although chaos divine sons were strong, they were not considered rare. When necessary, Qin Yin planned on releasing them to fight. Qin Yin transferred the 2 primal divine sons to the 4th nine-sun divine soul, then released a very formidable supergravity through Nether Sun and squeezed the 2 primal divine sons together. Fortunately, Ling Yin is also growing very fast. Her Nether Sun can also release very strong gravity. He and Ling Yin joined hands, coupled with the control of the 9-sun divine soul. They quickly merged the 2 primal chaos divine sons. I now have 3 divine sons in my hands. Qin Yin looked at the 3 pearls of the 9-sun divine soul. Each pearl can hold 1 divine Sunday. Only after gathering all 9 of them can the 9-sun divine spirit be considered complete. Xiao Yun, do you think the descendants of the divine sun and the 9-sun divine spirit will appear? Ling Yun asked worriedly. I don't know. It shouldn't be. It is an isolated space inside. Without my permission, it is very difficult to enter. Qin Yin shook his head and said, he also has this worry in his heart. Then is our Nether Sun considered a divine sun? If it is a divine sun, you have to be careful. Ling Yun said again. Qin Yin looked at the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. There are more than 10 divine sun descendants inside. He is now rushing to the 2nd divine Sunday. He plans to study them on the way. He took out the heaven-leaping shuttle and entered it. Just as the heaven-leaping shuttle was about to fly, it was suddenly blocked by a very strong divine power. Heavenly Lord Yushin. Qin Yun's heart palpitated as he prepared to travel through space when he heard a voice. Qin Yun, I am Boss Dongfang. The person who came was Boss Dongfang. Qin Yun did not keep his guard up. Boss Dongfang doesn't dare to attack Qin Yun because his precious daughter is still in Qin Yun's hands. Come in. Qin Yun teleported Boss Dongfang in. Boss Dongfang is a handsome middle-aged man with an extraordinary bearing. Dongfang Bingbing's beauty is also inherited from her father. Qin Yun is not afraid of Boss Dongfang. He is not even on guard against him. However, Boss Dongfang is very vigilant against Qin Yun. He is still wearing red mighty armor. Please sit. Qin Yun's expression is casual. He said with faint smile, Boss Dongfang, you came really fast. I was always outside the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. I knew you would definitely come out. After Boss Dongfang sat down, he looked around the control room and asked, where is Bing Bing? Qin Yun released Dongfang Bingbing from the 9-sun divine soul. Dongfang Bingbing is wearing red tight clothes, outlining her fiery hot body curves. Her charming and slightly arrogant face is filled with astonishment as she looked at her father. She was in a room inside the 9-sun divine soul before, so she did not know the situation inside the 9-sun divine soul. Daddy, Dongfang Bingbing lightly shouted and said in shock, why are you here? What happened? Qin Yun said with smile, Boss Dongfang, how did you know that I went to the Myriad Realms Divine Sun? Heavenly sovereigns wanted to kill you before. I was watching from nearby. Boss Dongfang said, he couldn't kill you. He thought that you would die inside the Myriad Realms Divine Sun, and then the Divine King Heavenly Seal would descend upon the Divine Desolate. Daddy, what's going on with that Heavenly Sovereigns? Did he make things difficult for you? Dongfang Bingbing said in low voice. He doesn't dare. Boss Dongfang laughed, looked at Qin Yun and said, Boss Qin, your current existence is very special. Do you know about the Heavenly Rules Tao Orthodoxy? And what about the Heavenly Tao's eldest senior brother? Qin Yun asked. Boss Dongfang looked at Dongfang Bingbing and said, we always thought that you were the reincarnation of Heavenly Tao's eldest senior brother, but later we confirmed that Heavenly Tao's eldest senior brother is already dead and a new Heavenly Tao will replace him. Qin Yun now understands that the one replacing the new Heavenly Tao is most likely the Heavenly Sovereigns. Heavenly Sovereigns are the new Heavenly Tao. Dongfang Bingbing said with frown. I don't know yet. Because he didn't complete the final trial, he wants to kill Boss Qin and obtain the Divine King Heavenly Seal to pass the trial. Boss Dongfang's voice suddenly became very low. He stared at Qin Yun and said, Boss Qin, the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy recorded your fate. You will be killed by the heavenly sovereigns. Your heart will be devoured by him. The 10 Tao images inside your body will be devoured by him. Qin Yun touched his heart. He has the imperial heaven heart. After hearing Boss Dongfang's words, his heart suddenly started beating. He wants to eat my heart? Why? Qin Yun said, because you have half a heavenly Tao heart. He wants to eat your heart to obtain the complete heavenly Tao heart, Boss Dongfang said. Qin Yun can't help but laugh because he doesn't have a heavenly Tao heart. He only has the imperial heaven heart, and it is also very complete. This made him think of the imperial heaven diagram and the imperial heaven divine art. The imperial heaven diagram followed him throughout his life. After many twists and turns, it transformed into the imperial heaven divine art and finally became the imperial heaven heart. Imperial heaven is to control the heavenly Tao. This imperial heaven heart is much stronger than the heavenly Tao heart. The benefit that the imperial heaven heart brings to Qin Yun is that it allows him to enter the imperial heaven state, allowing him to obtain very strong power. This is only a relatively powerful technique that he has comprehended. As for whether there are any other techniques, he is still in the process of comprehending them. Boss Qin, this is not funny, Boss Dongfang said. The heavenly sovereigns are very strong. He can really kill you. I'm not afraid of him, Qin Yun said with a smile. He has also realized something at this moment. He guessed that there might be a method to restrain the divine son descendants within the imperial heaven divine art. Boss Qin, Father is warning you out of goodwill, Dongfang Bingbing said in a low voice. What will come will definitely come. I will make preparations to deal with it. Qin Yun suddenly has a card up his sleeve. The imperial heaven divine art is the key to restrain the heavenly sovereigns. It might even allow him to restrain the divine son descendants. Boss Dongfang sighed. Boss Qin, to tell you the truth, the heavenly sovereigns have already entered the heavenly law pawn shop, but they are currently unable to act recklessly in the pawn shop. Dongfang Bingbing shouted in alarm. This guy, how did he get in? It was the two bosses Gong Sun and Ling Hu who let him in, Boss Dongfang said with an angry expression. These two guys are actually loyal to the heavenly sovereigns. Qin Yun suddenly understood the reason why Boss Dongfang came to find him. There are 5 heavenly law blood tokens. I have 2 this time, and the heavenly sovereigns have 2. If you control enough heavenly law blood tokens, you can control the heavenly law pawn shop, right? Qin Yun asked. That's right. Boss Dongfang nodded. Qin Yun said with a smile. So Boss Dongfang wants to stand on my side? Boss Dongfang said with a helpless expression. I can only do this. Because Dongfang Bingbing is Qin Yun's maid, he must stand on Qin Yun's side. Otherwise, he must abandon his daughter and go against Qin Yun. In 50 days, the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop will have a big meeting. At that time, those who hold the Heavenly Law blood token will have to come and vote. Otherwise, the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop will fall into their hands. We have 3 votes. We can definitely suppress them. Boss Dongfang said. All right, 50 days, right? I will definitely go. Qin Yun said with smile. If the Heavenly Sovereigns hold the Heavenly Law blood token, then they won't be able to kill me. Boss Dongfang shook his head and said, he is not that stupid. The Heavenly Law blood token is still in the hands of Ling Hu and Gong Sun. They are loyal to the Heavenly Sovereigns and are helping them control the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. In 50 days, I will go to the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. Qin Yun said. Boss Qin, the Heavenly Sovereigns will also go, won't they kill you? Dongfang Bingbing said in low voice. Don't worry about that. Those who hold the Heavenly Law blood token will be protected inside the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. Boss Dongfang said. With the heavenly rules and Tao inheritance, no one can violate them. Qin Yun also plans to go and understand the situation of the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop at that time. Also, he wants to call Tian Daozi. Boss Dongfang warned Qin Yun a few times, telling him to live well. Then he left the heaven-leaping shuttle and returned to the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. Qin Yun continued to go to the second divine Sunday, Dongfeng Bing Bing has been taken into the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit's house. Teleport to the warehouse. Qin Yin went to the warehouse and first released the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. Then he placed the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron inside the formation. He is still not at ease, so he released the Heaven Locking Chain and the Nine-Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda. Chapter 24:16. After Qin Yin loosened the lid of the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron, with a boom sound, the lid was sent flying and more than 10 people jumped out of the cauldron. These Divine Sun descendants have been locked in the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron for such a long time, and they have been constantly attacking the cauldron walls. Now that they have been released, they're still full of energy. As soon as they saw Qin Yin, they madly roared and rushed over. As they madly rushed over, they shot out balls of divine power or used the long sabers in their hands to slash out a large amount of saber energy. Their attacks were all very fierce, but they were all blocked by the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. Qin Yin can still feel the aura of their crazy attacks from outside the formation. The divine power they released is indeed very strong. "You damned reptile, you actually plotted against us," the middle-aged man in the lead said with a face full of anger. "You reptiles on the ground, one day, we will descend to the earth and tear you apart to make soup." Qin Yin already knew that these Divine Sun descendants did not treat the people on the ground as humans. The group of Divine Sun descendants crazily cursed Qin Yin and even said all kinds of threatening words. Qin Yin stood there very calmly, watching them talk. He was not in a hurry to make a move. The Heaven Locking Chain is hanging around his neck. The Nine-Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda is behind him, and he is holding the sun-suppressing Divine Arrow. Previously, he was worried that these Divine Sun descendants would be able to break through the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation, so he was on guard. But now it seems that the strength of these Tao, God Realm, Divine Sun descendants is not enough to attack from the inside. Qin Yin said with a smile, "I am a reptile from the ground. I used a few Divine Universe golden stones to trick you, the incomparably noble descendants of the Divine Sun, into my trap. Ayaya, you noble Divine Sun descendants, how could you be so careless and actually be tricked by a little reptile like me?" Hearing Qin Yin's words with a smile, the group of Divine Sun descendants are about to explode in anger. Their eyes are bloodshot and the veins on their faces are bulging. Their fiendish appearance makes it seem like they want to skin Qin Yin alive. "Reptile, I want to eat you bite by bite," a young man shouted angrily. "TSK, TSK, TSK. Qin Yin continued to sneer. "Now it seems that you are all reptiles captured by my trap and toyed with by me." Boom boom. The dozen or so descendants of the Divine Sun God exploded in anger and crazily attacked the Nine Dragons Heavenly Origin Formation. The ferocity of their anger truly frightened Qin Yin. He was so frightened that he took a few steps back. Qin Yin also wanted to see how strong the limits of these people's strength were. These guys are really scary. If it wasn't for Yang Yang suppressing them last time, I'm afraid it would have been very difficult for me to deal with that group of Divine Sun descendants by myself. Qin Yin could roughly estimate the strength of the group of Divine Sun descendants after seeing their angry expressions. After being locked in the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron for so long, it had already consumed a lot of their divine power. Taking them away from the myriad realms' Divine Sun meant that they would not be able to replenish their divine power. However, they were still able to unleash such a powerful force. If these descendants of the Divine Sun God were to descend upon the earth, it would definitely be a disaster. Qin Yin's current Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Array can only be entered from the outside, but cannot be exited from the inside. Therefore, he could attack from the outside. "You are the real reptiles." Qin Yin laughed mischievously, holding a small pistol. His pistol looks like it was carved out of sapphire. It is very exquisite, and its power is also very formidable. Qin Yin has not refined bullets for some time. The bullets he refined before are almost used up. Moreover, their power is not enough to deal with his current enemies. However, this God King pistol can condense Qin Yun's divine power into a bullet and shoot out. It has very strong, penetrating power. Qin Yun spent a lot of painstaking effort to refine this God King pistol. When needed, it can even turn into a shoulder cannon. Qin Yun poured his Imperial Heaven divine power into the God King pistol and condensed it into a bullet. The more Imperial Heaven divine power he infused, the longer the condensation time and the stronger the bullet's might. The condensed bullet is formed from the runes inside the God King pistol. When it's shot out, the bullet will also be strengthened by the various powerful runes inside the God King pistol. "Reptile, look here!" Qin Yun shouted at a youth and then shot. Bang! The bullet flew out and arrived in an instant, piercing into the youth's chest. After the young man was hit, he was sent flying, and a small hole appeared in the golden white armor on his chest. What caused Qin Yun to be amazed is that the bullet did not pierce through the youth's body. It only pierced through and produced a powerful impact that sent the youth flying. Is it because the armor is too strong? So after piercing through the armor, the power is weakened? Qin Yun roughly estimated the power is pretty good. If the youth did not have armor, his body would have been pierced through. The bullet's energy is mainly used for piercing, so after piercing through the body, there is not much energy left. Otherwise, if the bullet entered the body and exploded, the damage would be even greater. Ha ha ha. Ridiculous reptile, you can't kill us. Although the youth's chest has a hole, he stood up and laughed loudly. The other 10+ Divine Sun descendants also laughed loudly. We are undying and indestructible. Even if you can destroy our bodies, you can't destroy our souls. A middle-aged man laughed loudly and said, "This place is very far from the Myriad Realm's Divine Sunday. Even if your souls leave the Myriad Realm's Divine Sun, where can you run to?" Qin Yun laughed and said, "I don't believe that you are undying and indestructible. Reptile, I'll let you see how powerful we are. I'll let you understand why you are a reptile." The body of the youth who was shot suddenly split open and exploded with a boom sound. After the youth self-destructed, fragments flew everywhere, and at the center of the explosion, there is a golden white light ray. This is the youth's soul. Just you wait. We have already memorized your appearance. One day, we will capture you. The middle-aged man finished speaking, and his body suddenly exploded. Soon after, the other Divine Sun descendants' bodies also exploded. More than 10 golden white light balls appeared inside the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. They are their souls. You only have weak souls left. Where can you run to? Qin Yun immediately activated the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation to strengthen the space defense. Soon after, he released a very strong mental power through the nether moon and used it to condense soul extermination bullets that are specialized in attacking souls. Bang! After firing, the bullet hit a light ball. However, that light ball is completely fine. Qin Yun is shocked. If the soul is not destroyed, as long as it absorbs enough energy, it can reconstruct the body. Is this the secret of the Divine Sun descendants' undying and indestructible secret? Qin Yun does not believe it. He used all kinds of special techniques to deal with souls and crazily attacked those light balls. However, no matter what he did, he was unable to destroy those light balls. The souls of the Divine Sun descendants are not only powerful, they can also ignore all kinds of energy attacks. Those souls looked like shadows. No matter how much they were hit, the energy could only pass through them. They were unable to disperse the souls. Qin Yun took a few deep breaths and released a devouring power through the nether moon and nether Sunday. This is used to devour souls and mental power. The devouring power is very strong. Many pieces of corpses and armor inside the formation were sucked into the formation wall. However, those souls were not sucked in. Nether Sun and Nether Moon are actually unable to devour these souls. You're dead for sure. Suddenly, a voice resounded in Qin Yun's mind. With a whoosh, those dozen or so souls suddenly flew out. They actually penetrated the barrier. These souls are indeed like shadows. There is nothing that can restrain them. seeing the dozen or so souls coming over. Qin Yun anxiously took out the soul creation heavenly cauldron. After the soul creation heavenly cauldron grew in size, it covered the dozen or so souls that flew over. Qin Yun gasped for breath. Just now, he was also very nervous, and cold sweat seeped out of his back. He had previously placed the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron inside the nine-sun divine spirit. If these divine sun descendants abandoned their bodies, their souls would definitely be able to penetrate the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. At that time, they would wreak havoc inside the nine-sun divine spirit and enter the divine sun of the nine-sun divine spirit. Thinking about it carefully, Qin Yun felt even more lingering fear. It is truly not easy for the core region of the myriad world's divine sun to be able to block these guys' infiltration. Qin Yun finally realized why these divine sun descendants could enter so many divine suns. The divine sun inside his nine-sun divine spirit was already in danger before it was almost invaded by the divine sun descendants. I was too careless, too careless. Qin Yun blamed himself in his heart. Luckily, the soul creation heavenly cauldron is useful. Ling Yun said, Xiao Yun, those guys are inside the soul creation heavenly cauldron. They can't run out. Ling Yun ran out of the holy tribulation gate and comforted Qin Yun. Qin Yun hugged the charming long-legged fairy, pinched her face, and said with smile, help me ask Cauldron Spirit whether or not it can refine those guys. The soul creation heavenly cauldron has already been flipped over by Qin Yun. Now that the divine sun descendants have entered the heavenly cauldron, they can't run out. Ling Yun arrived beside the soul creation heavenly cauldron and used her mind to communicate with Cauldron Spirit. The soul creation heavenly cauldron has also turned into a small blue cauldron. Its pair of translucent blue wings are lightly flapping. It looks very mysterious and dreamy. Qin Yun felt that it was necessary to study the structure of the soul creation heavenly cauldron and create a divine tool that could capture and seal the souls of the divine sun descendants. After chatting with Cauldron Spirit for a while, Ling Yun shook her head at Qin Yun with a frown and said, Cauldron Spirit said that she can't refine those souls. She can only restrain them inside. Why can't she refine them? Qin Yun hastily asked. Cauldron Spirit should know, right? Cauldron Spirit said that in order to refine those souls, she needs a special kind of flame. She can't produce that kind of flame. Ling Yun said, Flame, what kind of flame? Qin Yun rubbed his nose. He had mastered several kinds of flames. A flame that can destroy heaven and earth. That's what Cauldron Spirit said. Ling Yun stuck out her tongue at Qin Yun and said, Little Yun, have you heard of this flame? Chapter 24:17. In Qin Yun's eyes, the Thearchs were the same as the descendants of the divine sun. They were all existences that he had to eliminate. Xiao Yun, I think there might not be any heaven-destroying, earth-extinguishing fire. Ling Yun said, perhaps the heavenly cauldron of creation soul has been with the heavenly Tao for many years. The heavenly Tao believes that only the heavenly cauldron of destruction can deal with the descendants of the divine sun god. Therefore, the Cauldron Spirit also thinks so. The heavenly Tao should also know about the matter of the descendants of the divine sun. There's actually nothing they can do. Qin Yun sighed and said, It seems like the descendants of the divine sun are really difficult to exterminate. Ling Yun looked at the soul creation heavenly cauldron and said, Xiao Yun, if you can comprehend the method to exterminate the descendants of the divine sun, then you will be an existence that surpasses the heavenly Tao. Surpassing the heavenly Tao. Qin Yun recalled the heart of imperial heaven. Perhaps it was something he had obtained after escaping the fate of being a tool. Is the heart of imperial heaven an inheritance or something I cultivated myself? Qin Yun suddenly had doubts. Although the imperial heaven heart was obtained from the 9 yang divine soul, he believed that if it wasn't for him, it might not have been born. As long as you can figure out a way to restrain the descendants of the divine sun, Even if your cultivation is not high, it will prove that you are an existence that surpasses the heavenly Tao. Ling Yun said again, Xiao Yun, no matter what, you must work hard to find a way to destroy the descendants of the Divine Sun, otherwise our Divine Sun will be in danger. I will. Qin Yun put away the soul creation heavenly cauldron. He now has a preliminary understanding of the mysteries behind the Divine Sun's undying and indestructible descendants. After cleaning up the scene, Qin Yun returned to the central control room and continued on his way to Second Divine Yang. In fact, for Qin Yun to reach this stage was already very impressive. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to stop the soul of a Divine Sun descendant from leaving. Once those souls left and returned to the 10,000 Realms Divine Sun, it would definitely incur the wrath of the descendants of the Divine Sun inside the 10,000 Realms Divine Sunday. They might even take action. On the way to the Second Divine Yang, Qin Yun sat on a chair in the central control room and looked at the Divine Monarch Heavenly Seal. The God King Heaven Seal had already been imprinted with a myriad worlds Divine Sun imprint. He secretly sensed it and found Lu Yu and Shu Yin's blood qi. It was as if Lu Yu Shu Yin's heavenly blood had been injected into it. Could it be that this requires the 9 Suns Divine Maiden's heavenly blood to refine? Qin Yun was puzzled. The godly monarch heavenly seal needs to be branded with 9 myriad worlds Divine Suns for it to be complete, and this requires the help of the 9 Sun Divine Maiden. The godly monarch heavenly seal was not simple. The god kings of the other divine worlds and the supremes of the various celestial heavens think that obtaining the God King Heavenly Seal is enough. They don't know anything at all. Ling Yun lightly snorted. The God King Heavenly Seal belongs to you, little Yun. The Heavenly Seal was born because of you. Other than you, no one else can obtain the God King Heavenly Seal. It seems like the Divine King Heavenly Seal is constantly changing. This kind of change is not something even 9 suns can predict. Qin Yun said with a smile, This is a good thing. I like this kind of change. The godly monarch Heavenly Seal will definitely grow with you. The 9 suns and divine desolation. Such a divine object is certainly not a dead object. It must have its own life. Ling Yun said, Yeah, Qin Yun can feel the power of the godly monarch Heavenly Seal more and more. Although he is still unable to unleash any substantial formidable power, in the future when the 9 suns appear, he can use the godly monarch Heavenly Seal to absorb the power of the 9 suns. Just thinking about it is terrifying. Xiao Yun, it seems like the 9 suns want to bind you, divine desolation, and the entire 9 suns together. If the 9 suns are destroyed, divine desolation will also be destroyed. Maybe even the 9 Sun Divine Maiden will be in danger. Ling Yun's voice is somewhat grave. The 9 suns want to pressure me, make me find a way to exterminate the descendants of the Divine Sun. Qin Yun said with a smile, It seems like the 9 suns think that I am more reliable than the supremes of the various heavens. That's why they want to protect me and help me defy the heavenly rules. Ling Yun saw how cheerful Qin Yun is and said with charming smile, Xiao Yun, the 9 suns are helping you. That's why the 9 Sun Divine Maiden has been helping you for so many years. The supremes of the various heavens are my stepping stone. If I want to conquer this world and control the heavenly Tao, I must get rid of the new heavenly Tao, the supremes of the various heavens. Qin Yun chuckled, What heavenly Tao? I don't care about it. My goal is to control the heavens. Qin Yun thought about it carefully. His goal is so far ahead, but it is much stronger than the supremes of the various heavens. The various supremes of the various heavens are people who eat and wait for death. They believe that they will become the new heavenly Tao and have great faith in the heavenly rules and Tao orthodoxy. Therefore, they don't work hard and just sit and wait for themselves to become the heavenly Tao. And Qin Yun is under all kinds of pressure. He has no choice but to fight against the heavenly rules and Tao orthodoxy. He has no choice but to force himself to become stronger. This is an existence that is wrestling with the heavenly rules and Tao orthodoxy. The heaven-leaping shuttle is flying in the void. Behind it is the blue light of the various heavens' divine moon, and in front is the light of the second divine Sunday. The second divine sun is much bigger than the third divine sun, and the light is also much stronger. Therefore, the halo of the second divine sun is much bigger than the third divine Sunday. Qin Yin quickly entered the light fog area of the second divine sun, which is also the halo. After entering, he was surrounded by intense light. He had no choice but to walk out of the heaven-leaping shuttle, because if he continued to enter, even the heaven-leaping shuttle would not be able to withstand the scorching heat. I wonder if Yuelan's situation is the same as Sister Shuyin's. Qin Yin flew towards the second divine sun alone. He has not encountered any divine sun heavenly beasts yet, so he did not let Yang Yang come out and let her stay inside the nine-sun divine soul. Xiao Yun, the fourth myriad realm's divine sun, should be coming out soon. I wonder what kind of great change it will bring. Ling Yun said, among the nine sun goddesses, Yu is ranked fourth, right? At that time, she will enter the fourth divine sun. Qin Yin nodded. Yu and Yang Shuriwei can be considered twins. However, Yu has white hair and her temperament is ice cold, fierce, and overbearing. She also has a bit of a delicate temperament. Qin Yun and Yu have met many times, but after coming to the Divine Desolate, he did not see Yu much. Of course, his relationship with Yu is quite good. Yang Shuriwei said before that Yu often asked about him. The relationship between Qin Yun and the white-haired beauty Yu is also very strange. It is very good, but there's still a layer of estrangement. Sister Yu and Sister Sushin are both white-haired beauties. They should have met already, right? Ling Yun began to let her imagination run wild again. She giggled and said, if only I could take a bath with these two white-haired beauties. Qin Yun curled his lips and scolded with a smile. Great beauty, Yun. Wait until we reach the core region of the second divine Sunday. Maybe we can meet Yu Shaoling. You two rogue elves will meet very soon. Yu Shaoling. I have to properly teach her a lesson this time. She actually said that my figure is not as good as hers. Ling Yun tenderly groaned and said, Qin Yun is using his mind to converse with Ling Yun, while flying towards the myriad realm's divine Sunday. His speed is not very fast. He also opened his heavenly eye and looked around from time to time. If there is a divine sun, heavenly beast, he would be able to discover it immediately. Qin Yun originally thought that he would not encounter any humans on the way to the second divine Sunday. At most, he would encounter a divine sun heavenly beast. However, he encountered a group of people. That group of people also discovered him. They flew over very quickly. Qin Yun has many concealment techniques, but he will always be discovered by others. The current Divine Desolate is filled with talents. There are always people who can create many powerful tools that can detect the humans around them. Although he has been discovered, Qin Yun is not panicking at all. Even if he faces Shun Tianjun, even if he faces the heavenly sovereigns, even if he is surrounded by the descendants of the divine sun, he can still escape unscathed. There are 40 to 50 people in that group. Qin Yun can sense them, but he doesn't know what they look like. Because in this area, even if they're very close, they're all blocked by a very strong light mist. There is no frightening aura. We are not here to fight. A blue chain is hanging around Qin Yun's neck. That is the heaven-locking chain. If the other party wants to fight, Qin Yun is not afraid at all. The strongest of the people who came are only at the Tao God realm, and there are only a few of them. Very quickly, that group of people arrived beside Qin Yun and surrounded him. Then, they used some divine talismans to blow away the surrounding light mist. When Qin Yun saw this group of people, he is somewhat surprised. This group of people's appearance and build are the same as normal people. There are old people, middle-aged people, and young people. They all have one obvious characteristic, which is that there is a vertical eye on their forehead. They are people from the Three-Eye Divine World. Three-Eye Divine World's Three-Eye Heavenly City was also invited to the Sword Forest Desert. Qin Yun and Three-Eye King's relationship is very good. Qin Yin did not relax his vigilance. 3 Divine World's Divine King also brought people to the Divine Desolate. This group of people might not be 3 Kings. Everyone, is there something you need? Qin Yin cupped his hands with a smile and looked at a tall old man. This old man seems to be the leader of this group of people. Little brother, we are looking for a ship here. I wonder if you have ever seen a ship shaped like a big turtle. The old man asked. A big turtle-shaped ship? Qin Yin shook his head. I have never seen it. I wonder why you're looking for this ship. That is the Heavenly Turtle Divine World ship. I found out that they came here, so I wanted to hitch a ride to the second Divine Sun. The old man said with a smile. Go to the Divine Sun? You can enter as you please now? Qin Yin is somewhat surprised. He knows that there are Divine Sun descendants inside the second Divine Sun. How can it be so easy to enter? Of course you can't enter as you please. You can only enter if you are invited. There is a powerful race inside the second Divine Sun. They are inviting all the experts of the Divine Desolate. Our 3 Divine World's 3 Divine King has been invited. We can also bask in the limelight. The old man said with mischievous smile. Qin Yin said with smile, then, can this lowly one also bask in the limelight? This lowly one is from the inscription gate. I am an inscription master and also the sect master of the inscription gate. Inscription gate? Please forgive this old man for being ignorant and inexperienced. I have never heard of this sect. The old man said with awkward smile. It is very normal that you have never heard of it. It is because my small sect is very small. It is not popular. Qin Yun said with smile. I, Yun, am very honored to be able to meet the geniuses of the 3 Divine World. Soon after, Qin Yun took out some divine talismans and gave them to the people of the 3 Divine World as a small gift. His divine talismans are not ordinary. They can be used to deal with 9 heavens' divine demons. Moreover, there are heavenly law divine runes. These divine talismans were also sealed by Ling Yun, using the Gemini treasure mirror. Chapter 24:18. 3 Divine World's people also saw that Qin Yun dared to come to this place alone, so they don't dare look down on him. They could sense Qin Yun's divine power aura. He was only a sacred god, but they did not underestimate him because of that. This was because they believed that Qin Yun was deliberately hiding his cultivation level. After Qin Yun gave out a small gift, he became friends with the 3 Divine World's people and entered the myriad world's divine Yangland with them. In order to let Qin Yun sneak in, they even took out a fake eye and stuck it on Qin Yun's forehead. This way, he could pretend to be someone from the 3 Divine World. This group of people was a small battle team. In the team, most of them had a master-disciple relationship. The old man in the lead was called Luo Fu. He was the commander of a small war god legion under the 3-eyed God King. Through their conversations, Qin Yun learned about the mysterious powerful race in the myriad world's divine Yangland. He had thought that the mysterious race was a descendant of the divine sun god. However, from Luo Fu's description, he didn't seem like a descendant of the sun god. The divine sun descendants Qin Yun met in the 3 divine sun are all wearing golden white crystal suits. However, the mysterious powerful race Luo Fu mentioned are wearing white and blue clothes. They look like a very refined scholar's gown. This was different from the descendants of the divine sun that Qin Yun knew. Although they were dressed differently, Qin Yun could not be sure that they were not descendants of the divine sun god. Captain Luo, there were people from the 9 heavens divine race stationed in second God Sun City before. After the 9 heavens divine race left, a mysterious and powerful race appeared so quickly? Qin Yun asked curiously. I don't know either. I know someone from a 9 heaven divine race. He is a subordinate of the Jiang clan king. According to him, the interior of the second god Yang is very big, and although their 9 heavens divine race was able to enter the second god Yang back then, they could only move around in a small area. Luo Fu said, those mysterious strong races might have always been in other places. Zone, could it be that after the 9 heavens divine clan left, the mysterious clan began to appear? Qin Yun is even more puzzled. He said, 9 heavens divine race's strength should not be weak, but they were abandoned by the second divine son. Could it be that the strong clan is stronger than the 9 heavens divine clan? A middle-aged man beside Luo Fu laughed. Sect leader Yun, the 9 heavens divine race might not be very strong. The 9 heavens used to be a very powerful divine realm, but now it has declined. The 9 heavens heavenly divine son is old and feeble. It shouldn't be able to hold on for long. All of the god realms have been in contact with each other recently, and have been spying on each other. Therefore, they had some understanding of the other god realms. Qin Yun had previously speculated that the heaven cosmic divine son was on the brink of destruction. This was definitely the result of a large number of divine son descendants' corrosion for many years. Luo Fu said, Sect Master Yun, you were born and raised in God Desolate. Naturally, you don't know the situation of other god realms. The situation in most of the divine realms is more or less the same. They are all half dead, and the divine power of the divine son is close to exhaustion. The corners of Qin Yun's eyes twitched. If that was really the case, then when the other god realms were destroyed, a large number of descendants of the divine sun god would swarm into the gods desolate. In the future, there would definitely be 9 myriad worlds divine sons in the gods desolate. Each of them would be very strong, and there would be enough for a large number of divine sons to enter. Why is this happening? Asked Qin Yun. In this world, nothing is immortal. The divine sun is the same. Our 3 divine world's divine sun is already old. When its energy is exhausted, it will explode before its death, turning its core into all kinds of resources and scattering them everywhere. Luo Fu sighed. God's desolate is incomparably vast. Even now it is still expanding. In the future, when the divine sons of other god realms are destroyed, God's desolate space will also devour the space of other god realms and grow into a true god's realm. A middle-aged man said, God's desolate space is expanding, so when it collides with the space walls of other god realms, people from other god realms can easily come over. To the other god realms, the god's wasteland was like a new continent. Everyone wanted to occupy the biggest and best territory here. Some god realms want to exterminate the native races of gods desolate, while some god realms want to take a friendly and peaceful path and coexist with the native races of gods desolate. Natives like Qin Yun and others don't know much about the native races of gods desolate. Because gods desolate is too big, it is very easy to give birth to powerful races. People from other god realms are even less clear about the situation of gods desolate. The Purple Sun Fairy race and 8 Dao race that Qin Yun met before are powerful races born in gods desolate. Luo Fu wants to find the Heavenly Turtle Divine Realm ship because he is worried that he will encounter strong enemies on the way. The Heavenly Turtle Divine Realm ship is very strong. It is famous for its toughness. Moreover, the people of the Heavenly Turtle Divine Realm are very friendly. As long as you have a good attitude and sign a friendly soul contract with them, you can board the ship. Qin Yun blends in with the 3-eyed group. If everything goes well, he will be able to enter the second divine sun and then figure out what is going on inside. He is sure that Xiao Yuelon has already entered the second divine Sunday. As long as she gets close to the second divine sun, she will be teleported to the core area. That is how Luiwei Shuyin entered before. Luo Fu has a compass in his hand. It is a tool specially used to detect life. At this moment, the needle is trembling and pointing in a direction. There are people over there, and there are quite a few of them. Luo Fu looked at the number displayed on the compass and said with a frown, There are hundreds of them. Are they also invited to enter the second divine sun? We should be careful, Qin Yun said in a low voice. Luo Fu nodded. At this moment, they all took out their weapons and activated their armor. They poured divine power into it and entered a very strong defensive state. Qin Yun does not have armor. He also does not need it. Don't take the initiative to go over. Those people are not from the Heavenly Turtle Divine Realm. According to the compass, There are people from the nine heavens divine race among them. Luo Fu suddenly stopped and said, "This is also what he saw from the compass. Nine heavens divine race. Other than the nine heavens divine race, who else is there?" Qin Yun asked. "It shouldn't be the people from the Jiang clan king's faction. The people from the nine heavens divine race are divided into two factions. The faction led by the Jiang clan king is peaceful. The one led by divine king Jiang Xian is very aggressive." Luo Fu said. People from other divine realms were able to figure out the situation of the nine heavens divine race in such a short period of time. It can be seen that they truly intend to stay in the God Desolate. The guy with the nine heavens divine race might be a nine heavens divine demon. Another old man's expression changed. Nine heavens divine demon? It seems like it's the nine heavens divine race from divine King Jiang Xian's faction. Luo Fu's expression also became solemn and said, "Let's speed up and fly away from these ogres as soon as possible." The people from the other divine realms are all afraid of the nine heavens divine race and nine heavens divine demon. After knowing that these two groups of ogres from the nine heavens are in the vicinity, the youths of the three I divine realm all began to panic. Qin Yun is actually very calm. As long as the other side does not have Shen Tianjun, he is completely not afraid. He is very proficient in dealing with nine heavens divine demon and nine heavens divine race. Just as Luo Fu and company increased their speed, the compass's pointer also began to tremble rapidly, meaning that someone is chasing after them. "Damn it, those guys are chasing after us," Luo Fu said in a deep voice. "Everyone hurry up, increase your speed and fly." "Captain, we won't be eaten, right? I heard that the nine heavens divine race from divine King Jiangxian's faction loves to eat people the most. Nine heavens divine demon likes to eat people even more. I wonder where they heard the rumor that eating our third eye can make up for our eyes. Then if we get caught, won't we be dug out and eaten by them?" The group of youths also said that they are panicking. "Calm down," Luo Fu shouted in a deep voice, calming down the group of panicking youths. The people of the three I divine world could see many things with their third eye. Furthermore, they could see quite far. It could be considered a special innate ability. Their special eyes were equivalent to special abilities, so it was normal for them to be used as supplements by the man-eater demons. Qin Yun understood why they were in such a hurry to find the heavenly turtle divine ship. It was because they were afraid of those man-eating demons. Man-eater was the nickname of the nine heavens god clan and the nine heavens godly demon. It was a name that many people in the god realm used in private. They could only fly as fast as they could. The more one was afraid of something, the more likely it would happen. There were a few dozen of them, but they couldn't escape in the end. In an instant, they were surrounded by the hundreds of man-eating demons. The youngsters of the three I God realm were trembling in fear. Luo Fu was still calm and said loudly, "I am Luo Fu, the commander of the 80th group under the three I Divine King." So it's the three I Divine King's subordinate. A middle-aged man from the nine heavens divine race said with an evil and sharp voice, as if he was laughing strangely, "Friends, may I know why you have stopped us?" Although Luo Fu's expression was calm, he was panicking in his heart. "It's nothing, we're just hungry. We came to ask you for something to eat." That middle-aged man from the nine heavens divine race laughed sinisterly, because the eyes of the several hundred man-eating demons surrounding them are filled with hunger and thirst. They all look like hungry ghosts reincarnated. There are a few high-level nine heavens godly demons with floating silver hair. They are drooling as if they have seen delicious food. Their body shape is the same as a normal human. Moreover, they have silver hair and handsome appearance. They are all high-level nine heavens godly demons. It is very easy to distinguish them. And these kind of nine heavens godly demons are usually very strong, and they like to eat people. Qin Yun touched the heaven-locking chain hanging around his neck. He could remove the heaven-locking chain at any time and use it as a whip to attack. "We have some beast meat. We can give you some." Luo Fu squeezed out a friendly smile. "Friends from the three I God realm, you should know that we're man-eating demons, right? Do you think we'll eat beast meat? A young nine heavens godly demon said with sinister smile. Although Luo Fu is the commander, his group has a lot of youngsters. Moreover, there are several hundred man-eating demons surrounding them. Don't talk about living. It'll be very difficult for one or two of them to escape. You want to eat us? Aren't you afraid of the three God Realm's revenge? Luo Fu said in cold voice and tightly held the saber in his hand. Chapter 24:19. Luo Fu and the others have very high position in the three divine world. After all, they're the war gods under the three divine king. But in this place, they're about to become food. This is a world where the weak are prey to the strong, especially in front of those man-eating devils. Not only will they become food, they will also be humiliated and tortured before dying. At this moment, Luo Fu and the others completely understand that it is not that easy to survive in God Desolate. They are still very weak in God Desolate, unlike in the three divine world where they can stand above others. Friend from the three divine world, helping us fill our stomachs is not a shameful thing. You guys just have to suffer a bit. The leader of the 9 heaven divine demons stuck out his long tongue and licked his lips. How about this? If you want to live, each of you will have to cut off your own arm and leg. We are willing to let you go. The 9 heaven divine race middle-aged man said with mischievous laugh. This can be considered as us being very benevolent. Cut off their own arm and leg. After the three divine world people heard this, they saw a glimmer of hope in their despair. It can be seen how terrified they are. To them, as long as they can live, it is fine. Losing a leg or an arm was not a big deal at all, because they could still grow new ones through cultivation in the future. If they lose their life, they will die. Some youngsters are already tightly holding their weapons. Looking at their own arms and legs, they are planning to cut off their own limbs. Don't believe their nonsense. Luo Fu can also sense the despair of those youngsters. He suddenly shouted, after they tricked us into cutting off our own limbs, they will definitely not let us go. Not unless they sign a contract with us. Another three-eyed old man also said coldly, they have several hundred people. We only have a few dozen people here. It is not enough for them to eat. How can they only want our limbs? Luo Fu and the other older generation understand man-eating devils quite well. Their few dozen people are not even enough to fill the gap between their teeth. Making them cut off their own limbs and send them over is just them looking for fun. At this moment, Qin Yun leisurely flew towards that divine demon leader. Master Yun, what are you doing? Quickly come back. Luo Fu shouted. I will go over and have a chat with him. Qin Yun replied casually. He looked very calm and did not look like someone who was scared to the point of breaking his own limbs. Since Qin Yun was not a true three-eyed being, Luo Fu and company did not go over to stop him. Even they, the older generation, believed that it was worth it to sacrifice their limbs to preserve their lives. Sigh. Even Elder Yun is in despair. Elder Yun's strength is not bad. Let's see if Elder Yun can succeed after giving us his hands and legs. The god-demon leader's silver hair fluttered in the wind. He looked like a hungry wolf as he stared at Qin Yun and said with a sinister smile, this guy looks pretty good. His meat should be fresh and tender. Be it the 9 heavens divine demons or the 9 heavens divine race, they all thought that Qin Yun had lost all hope, so they did not guard against him at all. They really wanted to see others break their own limbs and send them to them. This would make them feel even more satisfied. Do you have a knife? Is your knife sharp enough? If you can't cut it in one strike, it won't be good if you cut it a few times and turn the meat to mush. The god-demon leader laughed heartily and said, I'll lend you a knife. Qin Yun has already arrived in front of the god-demon leader. He removed the blue chain from his neck and quickly attacked. The heaven-locking chain suddenly shot out like lightning and instantly pierced through the god-demon leader's neck. The god-demon leader's neck is covered with a blue crystal. It is used to protect his throat. However, Qin Yun's heaven-locking chain still pierced through. Through the heaven-locking chain, Qin Yun injected a large amount of suffering divine ability power into the god demon leader's body. He also released vibration power to disperse the demonic power. All of this happened too quickly. No one expected that the sacred deity would leisurely fly in front of the Dao god demon leader and then use a seemingly soft chain to pierce through the god demon leader's throat. Qin Yun tugged with all his might, dragging the god demon leader over as though he was dragging a dead dog. The god demon leader let out an unpleasant and painful roar. With the chain pierced through his throat, it is very difficult for him to speak. He spat out blue blood from his mouth. Luo Fu and company were scared silly. To take down a god demon leader like this, not only did one need strength, one also needed sufficient courage. The group of 9 heavens divine demons shouted angrily, but they could not charge over because they could see their leader in pain. After Qin Yun grabbed the god demon leader, he tied him up with a heaven-locking chain and quickly flew back to Luo Fu and company. The 9 heavens divine race leader is very calm. He said coldly, "Foolish fellow, don't you know that 9 heavens divine demons cannot be killed? The 9 heavens divine demons are not afraid of you killing their leader." The group of 9 heavens divine demons wanted to charge over, but the god demon leader shouted with great difficulty, Don't come over. He can kill me." Only the god demon leader knew that Qin Yun could really kill him. A mere sacred deity, what's there to be afraid of? The 9 heavens divine race leader sneered and suddenly flashed over. His aura is astonishing. Divine power burst out from his body, causing Luo Fu and company to feel uncomfortable as they were sent flying backwards. The 9 heavens divine race leader wanted to use extreme speed to kill Qin Yun and save the god demon leader. However, he underestimated Qin Yun's strength. Qin Yun only released supergravity and focused it on the 9 heavens divine race leader. It is as if there is an impact force from all directions, and at the same time, they are all attacking the center point. The 9 heavens divine race leader is not weak. When he felt the supergravity pressing down on him, he immediately released his divine power to resist. He blocked Qin Yun's wave of supergravity attack. However, Qin Yun controlled the other end of the heaven-locking chain and shot it towards the 9 heavens divine race leader. The 9 heavens divine race leader is only 10 meters away from Qin Yun. In an instant, his forehead was pierced by the heaven-locking chain, and he screamed in pain. Qin Yun pulled the heaven-locking chain and pulled the 9 heavens divine race leader over and tied him together with the god demon leader. "Are you hungry? I have the best way to make you never feel hungry," Qin Yun said with sneer. "As long as you man-eating devils never feel anything, you will never feel hungry. After the soul scatters, there will be no feeling. You want to become enemies with us 9 heavens divine demons and 9 heavens divine race. Think about the consequences." The 9 heavens divine race leader's forehead has been pierced, so he can still speak fluently. His tone is also very domineering and filled with threat. "If you want to eat us, isn't it because no one has discovered us in this place? As long as this matter is not spread out, who will know?" Qin Yun said with a smile. "There are a few hundred of us. With just you guys, can you kill all of us?" The leader of the 9 heavens divine race said with a sneer. Luo Fu said, "Sect Master Yun, don't be afraid of them. It's clearly them who want to eat us. Even if Divine King Jiangxian and Heavenly Demon Divine King knew about this, they wouldn't be able to make things difficult for us. Our 3-eyed Divine King will protect us." Qin Yun nodded and then struck the 9 heavens divine race leader's body with his palm. There was a loud bang. The power of the heavenly universe fire incantation poured into the leader's body, and the flames immediately surged. The 9 heavens divine race's Tao God realm leader disappeared forever along with the explosion of the blue flames. The god demon leader is scared silly. The 9 heavens divine race's Tao god who was tied up with him was actually blasted into dregs just like that. The god demon leader also sensed the power of the flames and shouted in alarm. "It's the heavenly law inheritance. You also know Qin Yun chuckled and said, "Then I'll let you experience it." Qin Yun struck again with his palm and used the heavenly universe fire incantation again. Moreover, he also added in the Nether Sun Totem's devouring power to block the divine demon race's down meridian that absorbs the regenerative power. With another explosion, the god-demon leader also exploded, and the blue heavenly universe, divine flames scattered in all directions. The two leaders were killed in just a few moves. Now it's the group of man-eating devils who are trembling in fear. Although Luo, Fu, and the others are scared out of their wits, they no longer tremble because Qin Yun is on their side. At this moment, they wish they could dig out a reel and press it on Qin Yun, so that Qin Yun will become their three-eyed person. "Don't be afraid of them. We have a lot of people," a middle-aged man shouted from Nine Heaven's divine race's side. Just as the middle-aged man finished shouting, Qin Yun used Divine King Spear to condense Imperial Heaven divine power and pierced his mouth, causing his head to explode. "You bunch of trash, come at me if you have the guts." Qin Yun chuckled and looked at the group of Nine Heaven's divine race people with disdain. He vigorously swung the heaven-locking chain in his hand. The heaven-locking chain suddenly became longer, like a blue dragon-shaped whip. It swept across and cut off a large number of Nine Heaven's divine race people's bodies. Luo, Fu, and the others are so shocked that they can't close their mouths. Their eyeballs almost popped out. Nine Heaven's divine race is very tyrannical and God-desolate. There are not many people who dare to go against them. If they meet Nine Heaven's divine race and Nine Heaven's divine demons, even people from other god realms would have to take a detour. But now, Nine Heaven's divine race people are like weeds in front of Qin Yun. With a powerful swing, a large number of them were cut off. Qin Yun is an ordinary person. He is the Nine Sun Palace King. He has the Divine King Heavenly Seal. It can be said that he is the only Divine King of God Desolate. It is understandable that people from other god realms are forced to come to God Desolate due to the destruction of their god realms. But since they came, they had to be well-behaved. Doing evil in God Desolate, acting tyrannically, and being met by Qin Yun, the only path left for them is death. Previously, Qin Yun felt stifled in his heart because of encountering the Divine Sun descendants. Now that he is facing these man-eating devils, he can finally do whatever he wants. With the release of the supergravity domain, the invisible gravity split into two, pressing down from top to bottom, squashing those Nine Heaven's divine race, people whose bodies were cut off. Hoo. The pistol in Qin Yun's hand shot out dozens of bullets. They are flame bullets shot out from the heavenly universe fire incantation. After shooting over, it instantly formed a blue sea of fire. There are still more than 209 Heaven's divine demons alive. They can't escape. Qin Yun released a huge and majestic sacred tribulation gate. This is the Nether Sun Tribulation Gate. After the gate opened, a mass of black gas surged out. Chapter 24:20. The sacred tribulation gate opened wide. Black energy surged, and the Nine Heaven divine demons let out mournful screams. The screams gradually became weaker until they disappeared. Only the aura of the Nine Heaven divine race and Nine Heaven divine demons remained. Hundreds of man-eater devils were killed just like that. Moreover, they were killed by a single person. Luo, Fu, and the other three-eyed people's hair stood on end in shock. They already guessed that Qin Yun was an expert who hid his cultivation, and now they're even more certain. Bang! The sacred tribulation gate closed and returned to Qin Yun's body. Directly devouring those Nine Heaven divine demons is the fastest way to deal with them. Although Qin Yun's Nether Sun has not become a sacred heavenly Tao image, it is still very powerful because of the sacred tribulation gate. Qin Yun returned to Luo, Fu, and the other side. Those youngsters who managed to escape from death are now flattering Qin Yun. "Thank you, Elder Yun. Elder Yun is invincible. Elder Yun is so handsome," and many other nice words. Luo Fu and the others are full of smiles. They thanked Qin Yun again and asked if he was injured. Powerhouses were respected everywhere, especially powerhouses who could save people at critical moments. They were even more popular. "You're welcome. We are all friends," Qin Yun said with a smile. With Qin Yun here, Luo Fu and the others feel a lot more at ease. Even if they can't find the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship, they feel that they can safely reach the second Divine Sunday. In the cheerful atmosphere, Qin Yun and the three-eyed people continued flying towards the second Divine Sunday. Qin Yun wants to quickly understand the situation of the second Divine Sunday. It seems that a new powerful race has appeared in the 20th Myriad World's Divine Sunday. It is highly possible that they were born from the Myriad World's Divine Sun to suppress the Divine Sun descendants. Divine Sun descendants can't be killed, but it is possible to suppress them as long as one is strong enough. After flying for half a day, Luo Fu and the others suddenly stopped. With their third eye, they saw a huge monster appear in front of them. What a huge thing! It can't be those Divine Sun heavenly beasts, right? Luo Fu said in shock. In this place, only Divine Sun heavenly beasts are huge. Qin Yun also opened his heavenly eye to take a look and saw that the huge monster is like a huge island. From the outline, it indeed looks like a Divine Sun heavenly beast. It's not a Divine Sun heavenly beast. It's the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship. An old man suddenly yelled in surprise. "We've finally found the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship. Come on, let's hurry over." Luo Fu was also very happy. If he could board the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship and travel to the second Divine Sun, he would be able to rest easy. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about being attacked by other powerful beings. In the gods' wasteland, there were more and more man-eater from the nine heavens. The people of the other god realms were extremely afraid of this kind of man-eater. This was because the ogres wanted to eat powerful humans, especially those with special abilities. For example, the three-eyed man was a delicacy in the eyes of the man-eater demon. Qin Yun was not averse to friendly beings from the divine world. If it was something like the ogres or other evil tyrants, then once they encountered them, they would be completely annihilated. The heavens god Desolate was huge. It could produce a lot of resources and could accommodate a lot of people. Qin Yun had learned from Luo Fu and the others that the Heavenly Turtle people of the Heavenly Turtle Divine Realm were very friendly. They didn't have much offensive power, but their defenses were extremely powerful. Soon, they approached the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship. The Heavenly Turtle Divine ship was like a giant golden turtle. It was as big as a giant island, and it was flying quickly toward the second Divine Sunday. After Luo Fu and the others approached the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship, they shouted loudly and talked to the Heavenly Turtle people on the ship. Soon after, a bald old man flew out. This old man had a golden turtle shell on his back. He was short and stocky, with a long white beard and a pair of slender white eyebrows. He looked very kind. Luo Fu and the others lined up with this bald old man and signed a soul contract to ensure that they wouldn't cause trouble on the ship and that they weren't allowed to attack the Heavenly Turtle people in the future. Qin Yun did the same. He signed a soul contract with the old man and then boarded the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship with Luo Fu and a few dozen others. The ship was very big, and there were many cabins inside. Qin Yun and the others were assigned to the side of the ship, where there was a large warehouse with windows. They could see the white mist outside. It was very quiet inside the Heavenly Turtle Divine ship. It was a little slow, but it was very stable, giving people a very safe feeling. Qin Yun also closed his eyes to rest. He had fought so many man-eating demons and had expended a lot of energy. His nether sun had devoured the 9 heavens demon gods, but he could only refine a little bit of energy. Luo Fu and the others also kept their mouths shut about Qin Yun killing a large number of man-eating demons. They wouldn't tell anyone else because it would lead to revenge from the Sky Demon Divine King or Divine King Jiangxian. The hundreds of man-eating demons that had died before were a very good team in the hands of Divine King Jiangxian and the Sky Demon Divine King. Such a large team had been killed, so they would definitely seek revenge. 2 days passed, and the heavenly turtle divine ship finally arrived at the second divine sun. Qin Yin followed Luo Fu and the others out. Before they went out, the heavenly turtle people had been warned by an old man that it was very hot outside and that they should be prepared. In the past 2 days, Qin Yun had used the Gemini treasure mirror to imprint many heavenly talismans that could resist the scorching heat for the three-eyed people to use to protect themselves. Therefore, after they went out, they could easily land on the surface of the second divine sun day. The surface of the second divine sun is the same as the three divine sun. It is also made of golden white crystal, emitting a very strong scorching light. If a sacred God realm person didn't have enough strength and protection, once they landed on the surface of the divine sun, they would definitely be burned and seriously injured. There are more than 1,000 heavenly turtle people who want to enter the second divine sun day. After Qin Yin arrived, he discovered that the second divine sun and the three divine sun are somewhat different. The divine power released by the second divine sun is obviously stronger than the three divine sun day. Moreover, it is filled with a kind of vigorous vitality. Unlike the lifeless three divine sun day, Xiao Yun, soil has just appeared in the core area of the three divine sun. It can be considered to have just matured. The core area of the second divine sun should have had soil for a long time and already gave birth to living beings. Ling Yuner said. Yang Yang said that it is very likely that divine sun fairies will appear in the core area of the three divine sun day. Then, could it be that divine sun fairies will also appear in the second divine sun? Qin Yin felt that it was possible. The myriad realms divine sun would definitely create powerful life forms to protect the myriad realms divine sun and suppress the descendants of the divine sun. Qin Yin followed Luo Fu and others and landed on the ground. Then, he followed behind the 1,000+ Tian turtle people. A person was leading the way in front. That person looked like a normal human, but it was unknown if he was a living being within the second divine yang realm. It seems like the divine sun's descendant has been suppressed. Qin Yin feels that this is a good thing. If the descendants of the divine sun grew too quickly, it would affect the myriad realms divine suns. Back when Qin Yin was in the three divine suns, he entered the divine sun's interior through a teleportation array. In the second divine sun, one did not need a teleportation array to enter the interior. On the surface of the second divine sun, there was a crystal house that could accommodate hundreds of people. This house was very special. It could sneak into the platinum crystal on the surface of the divine yang and enter the divine yang. Now, hundreds of heavenly turtle people had entered the house and been sent into the divine. Sun Qin Yun and company were in the third batch. Only 300 people could be sent into the divine yang at a time. The heavenly turtle people were divided into 3 groups and entered the divine sun one after another. Qin Yun and the dozens of three-eyed people were in the third group, together with some heavenly turtle people. On the way, Qin Yun learned that the mysterious powerful race inside the second divine sun did not invite the local powerful races of the divine desolate. The local powerful races of the divine desolate were the 9-sun royal family and the divine moon clan, but they were not invited. Even the divine court of the myriad realms wasn't invited by that mysterious and powerful race. No one knew why. Those who were invited were all from other god realms. The 9 heavens divine demons and the 9 heavens divine race were all invited. In addition, there were the white sun divine realm, the golden wing divine realm, the flying dragon divine realm, the Kunlun divine realm, and so on. The white sun divine king is Su Xin's father. It seems that father and daughter can meet again. Qin Yin was also puzzled. Why did the mysterious powerful race not invite the local races of the divine desolate? Could it be that they want to kill people from the divine realms? Ling Yun had a shocking idea. Definitely not. Qin Yin shook his head and said, most of the people invited are divine kings. These divine kings definitely know that the divine sun of their divine realm is about to be destroyed. This should be one of the things they have in common. That mysterious, powerful race wants to understand the situation of the divine son of the other divine realms. Ling Yun or guest. They want to understand the descendants of the divine son of the other divine realms. It's extremely likely that this is the case. Qin Yun also thought so. He had previously asked Luo Fu and the others if they had heard of the descendants of the divine son. Luo Fu and the others had never heard of it. It could be seen that the descendants of the divine son were also very low-key and mysterious existences in the other divine realms. Many people did not know of them. Finally, it was Qin Yun and the others' turn to enter the large house. After more than 300 people entered, the house descended and soon stopped. When the door opened, a strong light shone in. Qin Yun and the others were filled with curiosity as they walked towards the door and then walked out in an orderly manner. After going out, Qin Yun felt somewhat surprised. The inside of the divine sun was extremely beautiful. It was filled with all kinds of 9-colored dreamy clouds floating in the air. Beneath his feet was a colorful lawn, and all kinds of beautiful flowers were floating in the air. This kind of scene was everywhere in this space. It was as if they were in an illusory space. Qin Yun used his hand to grab a flower floating in the air and actually grabbed nothing. It's not a real flower. This is all an illusion. Qin Yun was alarmed. He secretly opened his heavenly eye, but he was still unable to see through this illusory illusion. Very strong mental power. It can actually affect my heavenly eye. As Qin Yun was shocked, the other 3-eyed people also exclaimed in surprise. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.